try and reboot the YouTube stream
Okay.
and see
And
what happens
let
with
me know
that.
when you're up on TikTok. Oh,
Yeah,
you're up on TikTok.
yeah, TikTok's working, and we have a few people in, and now the YouTube stream, I think, seems to be possibly working as well. Yep, YouTube is now up as well, so that is good. Yep, YouTube is now live too. Yeah, friends, don't know what that is about. Crazy business, crazy. Let's go there. Pop out chat. Hopefully we get some people back in again. But YouTube currently empty still, but hopefully some people will come back there. Wow, that was wild. That hasn't happened before. Like just a complete total loss of internet. I've had bits where it's a little slow before, but that is crazy work. Anyway, let's see what we've got. Do we have any guests on this side? I'm actually not sure if the YouTube stream is working. Let's just try again. Oh yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Okay. No one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Tracy is back. Yeah, Tracy's saying OBS might need an update. I am using OBS, so it could be something about that. Although that wouldn't cause my internet connection to drop. Pastor Fairy is in. Always nice to see.
Are you able to see I requested up?
I'll just sort that out right now. We'll get you in. Okay. Then you're now. Sean is now in on.
Yep.
On the TikTok side. Okay, I think we are sort of repaired for now. We'll just keep on going and see how we go. Yeah, crazy. Don't know what's going on with that, but there we are. So let's bring in. I think let's bring in Screaming Silence because he's been waiting ages. And then we also have Sunny, who's also been waiting, and David. This is all on the TikTok side, and hopefully we limp on with a crazy not working internet connection. Hopefully it'll be all right now. Weird tech gremlins tonight. Not happy about that at all. But thank you for bearing with me, everyone. The YouTube room has virtually emptied. We were up at about 80 or 90 before. We now have 10, but I'm sure people will come back again. And come and can get the love that we're dishing out here. What's up, Screaming?
Oh, just enjoying the show. I think we have some evidence that Puff the Magic Dragon's real because as soon as someone started to deny him, your show is shut down.
He gets very angry at being denied, very angry. His fire is very hot and his scales are very scaly. And the last caller was clearly in denial about that himself. He knows in his heart that Puff the Magic Dragon is real. The evidence, all the evidence we need is the sun in the sky. Clearly made of dragon fire, and yet he denies it. So that's it.
You know, this is something that's always been frustrating for me because I've been in this position myself more times than I can count where I say, like, do you think I'm being dishonest with you when I say I don't believe it? So, I mean, the way I look at it is, like, I wouldn't be able to, like, apply advanced algebra if it doesn't make sense to me, in the same way that I can't apply the truth of the Bible if it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're telling me it does make sense. It does. Jesus saved you. There's a hell. And I'm going, no, it doesn't make sense to me. It's the same thing as, like, trying to force someone to perform algebra when they don't get it.
Yeah.
It's worse than that because they claim it. I know it makes sense to you, and I know this because the Bible tells me so.
Yeah.
And you're just lying and you're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. Like, the hubris it takes to tell somebody the contents of their own mind is just, it's astonishing.
Yeah, like I said, that's always the most frustrating thing for me. That's I kind of wanted to earlier when I requested it up, just to kind of add to the conversation. Um, not very many people go this route, John, that you take of talking about the aspect of non-belief, as being such an important part of the equation, and how it's not like a choice, and there's reasons behind it. Isn't just pure denial. Um, because tell me what you think about this, but in order to like choose your beliefs, don't you kind of gotta believe all of them first and then go, oh, but this is the one I'm gonna like live by
Yeah.
in a way?
Well, it's never a choice. Like you said, in order to choose your beliefs. So basically, if you have sufficient evidence, meaning sufficient to you, not necessarily to me, but if there's something convincing to you, then belief is inevitable. Your mind will just experience belief, and you can't not believe it.
Yeah, but by someone telling you you can choose your beliefs, that means like you have option A and option B.
Correct. And what they're saying is nonsense.
Yeah, and you're literally going, oh, I'm going to go with that one. But
Yeah.
going with that one is because you have reasons to go with that one, which means you're convinced of it in some way.
Yeah, if you're convinced of it, you will have no choice but to believe. And there's like countless examples of this in reality. Like I sometimes use the spider on the wall. You see a spider on the wall, you perceive a spider on the wall.
Mm.
You will have no choice but to believe that spider's there. Now, there are some edge cases where somebody they know they have schizophrenia, so when they perceive something, maybe they might question as to what they're actually seeing. That's understandable, but under normal circumstances, you see a thing, your mind interprets it, and belief is something that happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's never a choice. It's a choice to expose yourself to whichever information you decide to digest, and then your brain is going to spit out either belief or non-belief.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having these discussions my whole life, and I kind of have like a top five, but I'll just kind of share the biggest one with you. For me, the idea of hell, and specifically it being eternal, really just doesn't make sense at all, because when you actually read the Bible, I mean, I used to always quote Ecclesiastes, where literally it starts off with meaningless, meaningless, life is meaningless. And then it ends with, um, now, like, this is the conclusion: fear God, keep his commandments, because this is the duty of mankind. Duty means an obligation.
Mm-hmm.
So God gave us an obligation, and he put us here into this world, in a meaningless world where we have decades at best, and then you die and you show up, and he says to you, like, I'm sorry, you didn't figure it out in time.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a really good chance you would have been born into a really bad or unlikely circumstance in order to figure it out.
Yeah, and he's the idea of an eternal hell, like it needs to be like undeniable. Like, I mean, I would say, well, I was worried about school and health and taxes and work and family and stress, and like, and at this, you're telling me that's all meaningless, but that's all I knew. And
Right.
then you look to your left, and there's the guy that essayed you when you were 12, and he's walking into heaven. And you go, God, why is he going? And he goes, well, he figured it out.
Yeah, he figured it out and then repented in the right way and then said the right prayers. And meanwhile, Anne Frank is in Helltown, and many of her tormentors are in heaven because they got saved later.
And for I don't know if people really just like really stop and deeply consider the idea of an eternal hell. And I've said this many times, like, let's say that is the reality, and you're there, and it's year 1 billion. You haven't even served 1% of your time.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you haven't even served point and I could go all night with O's 1% of your
And
time.
by a
And yeah,
billion years, do you even remember why you're there and to
yeah,
begin with?
it's so ludicrous. You know, it would almost be more scary if they made it less ludicrous,
Yes.
uh, because it would make it less unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, with like infinite punishment for like non-belief, it's just ludicrous. And you know, I had lingering, not like I was petrified, but just that lingering little, well,
Mm,
what if? And then when I thought about like, I tried to continue believing, I prayed, like I literally couldn't. And I thought about belief in general, that beliefs don't even work that way. All right, if there's a God, he's not going to punish somebody just for not believing. Like that would be absolutely ludicrous. And
hmm.
if he would, he's a monster, and we're screwed anyway. So I was like, I'm not going to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, think about the alternative, though. I mean, I joke about this often, but the alternative of heaven, where you're going to be with God forever, and that's supposed to be like the ultimate paradise. But I mean, we have evidence that it's not, because Satan and a third of the angels were there with God, and they were like, "This isn't good enough."
Yeah.
Oh, but
So
there's more.
how?
And you're going to know your friends and family member, or maybe you don't know anyone and you got lucky, but other people are roasting for all eternity, and
Yep.
you're still going to be happy.
And there is no one I want to hang out with forever. Like at
Mm.
some point, you're gonna want to change things up a little bit, right? When you've had every
Except Sean.
conversation you could. I've said you, of course, but yeah, I mean, dude, like, come on. I mean, I know God's wonderful and everything, apparently, but forever, like, come on. It doesn't sound
Yeah.
great. I think it's the booby prize myself.
So, John, did I know Sean's story? But was your family at all had any beliefs whatsoever? That no, okay.
Not in a religious sense. No, not in a
Mm,
religious sense. No, there was some sort of a nod to cultural tradition, but not no religious stuff, which is to my parents' credit. They had enough sense to not fill their children's brains with nonsense, and I always had a feeling of being given the complete like freedom to explore the world and come to my own ideas about it, and I really appreciate that, and I have done the same now as a parent. And I think that's great. I don't think that children should be taught what to think. I think that children should be taught how to think, because I think
mm,
there are skills there, and there are ways of thinking, and there are bad ways of thinking and better ways of thinking, just in terms of like how to evaluate claims, how to look at arguments, how to spot fallacious things. That I think, I mean, I wave the flag for this all the time. That should be core curriculum for me. I think in schools, and
Absolutely.
it
Well,
should be
you're very, very fortunate to have had that, and your
oh,
kids as well, because
very
I
lucky.
I mean, that is something that kind of does suck sometimes when, I think about how things would have been different if these things weren't, forced essentially upon me. That's the last thing I want to say, because the guest earlier had brought up kind of like his moment where he was sitting in church, if you remember. Um, and for me, it was very similar, where it was my tipping point. Again, I never really held a full belief, but I participated and wanted to. But I was sitting in church with my ex wife, my wife at the time, and they did communion, and they passed out the bread first, and everyone at the same time took their bite, and then the pastor says the prayer, and then they take the drink, and then the pastor says the prayer. And I was sitting there, and I looked around the room, and everybody at the same time took the cup and tilted their head back and took a swig, and do this in remembrance of Jesus's blood. And I didn't take the communion, and my wife looked at me and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "We'll talk after."
Hmm.
And after the service, I said, I just realized we're in a cult.
Wow.
I said, I just looked around the room,
Wow.
and we're in a cult. I said, we're drinking blood collectively when
Yeah.
we're told to.
Yes. That's a wake up moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
Nothing
so
to see
it
here,
just
folks.
very relatable. But now that's all I see when I look at all of it. I'm just like, wow, like, oh, it's so crazy that so many people participate. And Catholics believe that it's the literal
Yeah,
blood and
yeah,
flesh of Jesus,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
Yeah.
so normalized.
yeah,
Yeah, and the thing is that those types of things, when you grow up in them, it becomes very
Mm,
normalized to you. So it's also good that we get John, even though John was never a believer, and we're all about deconstruction. His point of view is also valuable because none of this was ever normalized to him, and
mm,
so he's able to verbalize it and put sort of apply sanity to like how these things come across from someone who was never like indoctrinated into it. So like even when I think of Noah's flood, I have to like intentionally really think about it to get how absurd it is, right? And it's beyond absurd when I really sit and
yeah.
think about it. But when it's just a thought in passing, it's become so normalized. It's like, oh, the Noah's flood story. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have that perspective, of someone who kept I don't mean to be insulting to him, but kept his sanity his entire
Hmm.
life, and never
Hmm.
having had it normalized.
yeah. I was lucky, very, very
Definitely.
fortunate. Yeah. So, Richie, we're going to move on, buddy. But thank you so much
Yep.
for coming in to see us again. Always appreciate talking to you, and
Thank you
so
guys.
great to have
Appreciate
you
it.
in our little clan here. It's wonderful.
Happy to
Thanks,
be
pal.
here. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
buddy. All the best. Okay. As promised, we are going to bring in Sunny now. Um, it's always lovely to speak to Sunny too. If you're on the YouTube side, it is tinyurl.com/JC guest if you want to get involved. We'd love to hear from you. Um, that would be great. If you want to get involved, come and have a chat with us. Sunny, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, John?
We're just lovely, thank you. Apart from having very weird
Good.
internet issues, apart from that, we're great.
Oh, yes. I know. I thought it was just me at first, and then I
Yeah,
realized, nope, it's happening to everyone.
yeah, it
Um,
was my end.
did YouTube go off as well?
Yeah, everything. My entire house completely lost its internet connection for about 5 minutes, and then it came back again. It was like someone had
Oh my
cut
goodness.
through a cable outside. It just went. I rebooted everything, and rebooted all the equipment, and it still didn't connect, and then it did. So hopefully it's all right from here.
Ugh,
But there we are.
bad
Puff
timing.
ain't playing. It was
Yeah,
it was Puff.
it was Puff. Yeah, Puff was just angry that that last dude was denying him. That's what happens when you
Yeah,
deny him. See, that's all the evidence we need. Now anyone who denies Puff
cut that heresy off.
is living in denial. Yeah, they we all know in our hearts that it's true. Um, how are
Like
you,
I
Sonny?
said, isn't
What
it?
have you got?
It is the what do they call it? The year of the fire horse. Maybe
That's
Puff's
it.
got extra power this year.
Super powerful. Yep, yep. That's what he does. He's listening into all the lives, and the moment someone says something disrespectful about him, he cuts that stuff straight down. That's it. He's on it.
Well, I wanted to um, just comment a little bit on your topic tonight. Why is God hiding?
Yeah,
Just listening to everyone, not just tonight, but in all the lives I've listened to, just the hearing everyone and where they are in their journeys on
yeah.
believing, not believing, deconstructing, go just the path. I wish I could take everybody by the hand and take them around the bypass and get them to the point of where you
Oh,
do leave behind everything you learned in all the religious texts that were written by man, so you can then be at a point where you can actually find a semblance of God, whatever it might be for you. But because I've walked the whole path down
yeah,
to where I am now, and it is a journey, and I feel for everyone on every step of that journey. But When I was listening to one of the guests before everything went dark, um, it kind of this analogous picture came into my mind of those journeys. And I don't want anybody to take this as being simplistic or cheesy, because if you really think about it, and where I'm coming from, um, I think it'll mean more. Um, the picture just came into my mind of the journey of a path, and when you're born, you're kind of given a map, um, written by when you're born into religion. You're given a map written by man on how to find God. And as you try to follow the map on the path, there's all kinds of potholes and toll booths. And you you keep going and you find it takes you past restaurants and businesses owned by the men who wrote the map. And so
Yeah.
you will get drawn into there, and then you start questioning at a certain point, the whole point of such a path. And that when you start, seeing that the texts don't make a whole lot of sense.
Yep.
And so you throw the map away and start looking on your own. You keep walking, and that's kind of where I hear a lot of these people, that are deconstructing are on the path. They're looking behind every tree intellectually, they're looking behind every tree, turning over every rock, listening to all different points of view, on it. And then, but what I found is when I walked far enough to and get rid, of all of that, and came to a place where I was at peace in my mind. I still didn't know where God was, but I was at peace in my mind that I had really debunked most of what had been written, um, in the religious texts. Um, and then I came to just sort of a very quiet place and sort of sat down and rested and just tried to see things completely for myself and on the path. And then that's when I realized God wasn't hiding, that he was actually the light that had been guiding me on the path the whole time, not really guiding me, but letting me be able to see the light, and kept me warm when I was really cold because of everything was so confusing. And then and it was the energy, just the positive energy that was always there, and that it was just you arrive at a destination that is for you individually.
Hmm.
And that's just the picture that came into my mind.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, obviously, we have a different view of things, but I'm always happy to hear your view, because for anyone listening to understand this, my objection is not. I don't really mind if someone believes in a God. That's absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. The thing I have a problem
Oh,
with
sure.
are, I'm just explaining it for the people who may not have heard me say this before. For I don't have a
Mm-hmm.
problem with people believing in God. That's fine. I've no worries with that. I have a problem with belief systems that tell people that if they don't believe certain things, they deserve punishment. That's really everything that we're about here. So when I listen
Oh,
to you, Sonny, even though you and I will come to different conclusions, and for you, you have a conception of a God which is a very sort of personal thing to you, and you frame it in a way which is very personal to you, and I can respect it even whilst I don't necessarily agree with it. That's fine, because there's nothing odious in what you're saying, and you're not harming anyone, you're not hurting anyone, and so I'm totally fine with that. And I really appreciate again, the bravery for you to have stepped away from the system you were in that you'd been in for a long time took a lot of bravery and integrity. So, that's why I'm always grateful to you for that and for sharing that story, because I think you will help others do the same. That's where I'm coming
It
from with that.
just, I'm hoping that people who who are in their deconstruction journey won't throw away God because they've been let down by all the religious texts and the people that have come out of those religious texts, the bad people that have followed those and used those texts as weapons of fear and manipulation. And I hope they will continue being positive and open, because I mean, do you agree that it's a possibility you could be just on a different part of the path of your path?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I take a different view, Sonny. I think that if people think this stuff through and reach the same place that, say, I'm at and Sean is at, which is that God as a concept doesn't really make any sense, and they feel that they can throw away that and still find, oh look, I don't have this stuff anymore, but I'm still empathic. I don't have this stuff anymore, but I still have compassion. I don't have this stuff anymore, but I
Right.
still find meaning in my life. Then that's also fine. Like, I think it's,
Oh
I
yeah.
would want to temper what you said with, if your deconstruction process leaves you in a place where you've thrown out the bathwater and found there's nothing left, there is no baby and there is no God, and that's how the world looks to you, then that's great. Just be authentic for yourself, and
Right.
lead. Let your mind lead you wherever it leads.
Just don't stay in the despair is basically my point.
Yeah,
Even because, I don't believe that you have to believe in God to, yeah, I don't think you're going to be judged for not believing in God,
yeah,
as long as you're a good person and you do always try to live in the positive and the are good to other people, other living beings.
yeah,
And that was, I just hear a lot of fear and distress in people that are deconstructing, and it's not all bad on the other side. Whether, I mean, there is so much positivity once you get rid of all of the negative stuff that's been written and practiced throughout the years.
there you
And
go.
that was just basically the point of me wanting to share that
Thank you,
with
Sonny.
you.
Appreciate that. Always
Hope you don't
appreciate.
have any more problems
No,
with your internet.
let's hope it's okay. We've got another couple of hours to go, so hopefully
Yeah.
it'll be steadfast. But
Well,
thank you very much, Sonny. We appreciate you
thank you.
always. All the best. Take it
Thank
easy.
you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye. Okay. Yeah, I mean, a difference of opinions, right? And that's what we're
Yeah.
kind of about here. We're not here to just immediately shout down anyone who has a different belief to us. We have a different view of things, but I appreciate Sunny's obvious compassion for others who are in the same place she used to be in, and I think voices like hers can be really important for them. So we have Docs and Greenlight says, to build the just city, treat others the way you would want to be treated, take accountability for personal wrongdoing, and help others in need. And thank
I'm
you
on
so
board.
much for the $5 super chat on that. I couldn't agree more. I think that's wonderful. I totally agree with that. I did once hear somebody modify the treat others as you would want to be treated,
The
and
platinum
they
rule.
modified it to treat others as they would want to be treated, because sometimes there's a difference. And I found that quite interesting. But so, for example, somebody might be into a particular kind of, say, kink that you wouldn't want to do, but they would like that. In which case, the
Hey, I'm
moral thing
happy
is,
to oblige.
yeah, the moral thing is to like understand that what you want isn't necessarily the same
Right.
thing that what somebody else wants. And I think that's probably a point well made. And then we have Docs and Greenlight says no God or religion required, and absolutely agree with that. no God or religion is required. Thank you very much for the $2 donation. I really appreciate that very much. And then our friend Philo, who's always wonderful in the chat. Thank you so much for your donation too. Says, love you, John. Keep up the good fight. Well, thank you. I love you too. Very, very much appreciate the kind sentiments. Okay, we are going to bring in Think About It. Think About It joins us very regularly. And we have very different views of things, but we always have a kind of conversation, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We do.
I understand you, and you understand me.
Yeah, we have an understanding of each other, even though we have a very, very different view. And you probably, I imagine, because I was thinking about you, and I imagine that you probably look at me and just go like, how does he work? Like, how does that? Because you sound so incredulous a lot of the time when we speak. Like you're like, but what do you do? How does this make sense? And so I was trying to imagine what I must look like from your perspective, and I wonder if you might have done the same. That from my perspective, I think these are sort of old silly stories, and we can do better than that. So between us, we're kind of meet in the middle, let's say.
You think I have old silly stories? Is that the way you think?
I think that believing literal. This is not calling you old or silly, right? It's. I just think that some of the literal claims of the Bible say, and I don't know how. We haven't really dug down into what your beliefs are, but some of the things the Bible says are old and silly, like just the notion that God needs to forgive us our shortcomings and our sins, and the only way he can do that is by having someone killed. I mean, that to me is an old silly story, right?
No. You think I said that?
Well, no, I'm not necessarily. Maybe I have misunderstood you. So
yes.
Maybe you could spell out for us, just so that I don't misconstrue you again. You don't believe that we need to accept Jesus?
Well, I think we have the free will to accept him or not. I mean, it's not a forceful thing.
Yeah, but
you have the right to believe what you want, and
sure,
I have a right to believe what we want. And God doesn't.
That's taken as read, but are we supposed to? Like, are we? What did he do? What was the point of Jesus?
Are we supposed to? That's a good question. Yeah. I think if we want to live a peaceful life, as much as we can on this earth, because that's very difficult. If we want to have someone we could count on, if you want to have some kind of hope and strength coming from somewhere beyond yourself and beyond other human beings, because a lot of human beings could let you down.
Yeah, but, I mean, I rely on human beings who don't let me down. But what is it that Jesus did? What was he for?
Something that goes beyond. This is kind of deep what I'm saying. Other human beings that don't let you down, because I have human beings that don't let me down. But it goes beyond that. To be very honest with you, I don't think we're very honest and truthful with one another, as one human being to another, the way we are with God. I think we would talk to God on a level that we would never probably talk to anybody here on earth. And God knows us very, very well. What happens here on earth, that we think we trust somebody, and we give them our deepest thoughts and feelings about certain things, and somewhere along the way they always come back to haunt us with it.
Really?
It's not something that
I need to lend you some of my friends. I've got people who I trust. I would trust them with my life.
Well, your friends are not perfect. This is characteristic of majority of people.
But they don't have to be perfect, but they're good enough because I trust them.
Yeah,
They've got my back.
Enough. But God is not good enough. He's good, period. I mean, he's beyond good.
But does it ever worry you that God kind of like supervises all of this tragedy and pain and suffering and doesn't get involved to help? Does that? Because if I was a believer,
not at all. Because I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to say, if I was a believer, that would really keep me up at night. I would like I'll give you an example, right? Since we've been talking,
you're being negative.
But the thing is, we have to be prepared to understand that life has wonderful things that uplift us, and it also has dark things that are terrible, right? Since we've been speaking, I forget the exact numbers, but I looked into the statistics on children who die from malaria, and it's something like, I think it's like one every couple of minutes or something, right?
Okay.
Okay. So,
But is this a perfect world? Is this a perfect world?
but what God looks at the mosquito flying towards the child, right? The mosquito carries in it an organism which causes the malaria. The mosquito bites the child, and the mosquito transfers the malaria to the child, and then the child dies, right? If you believe that God is all knowing, God sees the mosquito flying towards the child and could intervene to stop the mosquito reaching the child, right? That would be easy for God. But God just sits there, totally happy, happy for the mosquito to finish its journey
Oh my
and to
goodness.
do that,
No,
right?
no, no.
Does that not worry you?
Oh, of course not, because that's not the way it is. That's the way you look at it because of your mindset. I mean, you could look at negativity. You could look at two situations, and one person would have a negative attitude, and another person would have
What?
a positive
Well,
attitude.
what's the
I
negative
think that
attitude
it
then?
doesn't worry me. No, it doesn't worry me. God's got everything under control, and not
Think
everything
about
that
it. He said something that's a fact. Like
Sean,
it is
Sean. If I can't deal with two people.
Well,
I feel
okay.
attacked when two people start talking.
it's
Let me
okay.
deal with John first, okay,
It's all right.
Sean?
But Sean did
And if
make
you
a
want to
good
talk
point.
to me, then I'll talk to you on a one-to-one.
But Sean
Okay.
is legitimately my co-host here, and he did make a
No, I know
salient
he is,
point.
but I don't deal with.
We're not
I
ganging
feel
up
like
on you.
what?
We're not ganging up on you. He just made a good
Yeah,
point.
that's the way I feel. That's the way I
Yeah.
feel. Could you respect that, please? I mean, let me make this clear to you. First of all, you asked why is God hiding? God is not hiding. It's the person that's hiding. Okay, it's not God. God is open and available. You ask him why certain things happen. Okay, that lady was talking, what came into mind. Why does God allow horrible things? Now, when you were raised, when your mother was raising you, and you did something that you weren't supposed to do, didn't your mother say, well, look, you're grounded for a day, 2 days, or you can't use the phone? There's always a response to your bad behavior, and that's God being us our Father will give us a certain amount of things that he will take away from us, and because we sin against him.
So children
Why do you
dying of
find that so
malaria.
hard?
So children dying of malaria is because other people have behaved
That
badly.
is not God. You don't understand. That's why if you don't understand spiritually, you want to. There's evil also here on earth.
But
That's not always God.
I'm specifically asking about. I mean, maybe we need to define what you think God
How
can
you
and
know
can't
what
do.
you're going beyond. You're going beyond the scope of belief. You're going on. You're going as far as trying to figure out God's mind.
No,
That's not. That's not in
I'm
my
not doing
place to
that.
figure out
I'm not
God's
doing that.
mind.
Look, hang on a second. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the world we live in, and I'm saying if there is a God who is all powerful and invigilates this world and supervises it and looks over it and knows everything that's going on and is powerful enough to do anything, if you think that's true, then that carries with it certain entailments. That means that if that's true, there are certain other things that we also know are true. One of those things would be every child that gets bitten by a malaria-carrying mosquito, God knew about it and was fine with it. That's not me reading the mind
Not
of
fine
God.
with anything that bad happens to us.
Well, then is he powerless to stop it then? Is he just not very good at his job?
He allows it to happen for whatever
Right.
reason.
If he
we have
allows it
faith
to
in
happen,
God,
that
and
means he wants it to.
Listen. If like I said, if your mother did something where they reprimanded you, and your mother, you could say, well, my mother didn't have to do that. She could, even though I did that, she could have still let me have whatever, whether it's, let's say you're going to a prom or you're going someplace special and she takes that privilege away from you. She has a power
But this analogy doesn't work because you're talking about a parent disciplining a child.
This is God. He's the father and we're his
right.
children.
Okay, so
He loves us the way
so when a baby dies of malaria, who did the thing that required the discipline?
Who did the thing that requires the discipline?
Who's being disciplined by a 6-month-old baby dying of malaria, which happens every day? Who did the crime?
You know what? I trust God, and if that baby died for a reason.
Bad
It's
baby.
not for us to
It was a
know
bad baby.
no, John, you don't understand what non-believers are trying to do is get into the brain of Jesus Christ and God, and you can't do that.
Well, you're doing
There are a
it.
lot of scenarios. Why
You're doing it,
I believe.
aren't you?
Listen,
You're saying
let me tell
you're
you.
expounding on his reasons and his motivations, and he's going to punish
I'm
things.
not.
And
No, the only thing that I know, the only thing that I'm talking about, things that he teaches us. The things that he doesn't teach us, he even says in the Bible that we're not. No, and don't ask me where in the Bible because I'm not that. I'm not very good at remembering scripture, but all I know is that God tells us that not everything that we read, we're gonna know everything, that we will find out a lot when we join him in heaven. That there are a lot of mysteries within the Bible. A lot of even scholars say that there are a lot of mysteries within the Bible that man cannot understand and will probably never understand because our brain cannot understand such spiritual.
but sadly, this is not an adequate answer for the question,
Well,
which
that's
is
the best answer I have to
I
you.
know,
What?
I know it is.
He's
but
not a bad God. You're trying to get me to say, oh, he's such a bad
well,
God
no, I'm not.
because he
I'm not
loved.
trying to.
That's
I'm
you
genuinely.
know that's elementary what you're doing.
I'm
I
genuinely.
thought like that when I was
genuinely.
a young child.
Hang on. Calm down for a second. I'm not trying to
Okay.
get you to say anything. I'm really not trying to get you to say. I'm trying to get you to look at something which I feel you're resistant to looking at, which is that if God is all powerful and all knowing, he knows all of this stuff is happening. Now you
I
say
know that.
you say
You
he
repeated
lets
that.
it. You say he lets it happen.
He allows it to happen
Allows
for
it to happen.
whatever reason.
Allows it to happen means he wants it to happen. Because if he didn't want it to happen, it wouldn't.
No.
If he
No.
if he didn't want it to happen,
No.
it wouldn't happen.
No, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
I'm not
See,
wrong.
your brain is not. Your brain is trying to think beyond the realm of believing, and you can't.
Think about it.
You can't. You won't. You won't win. You're not going to win.
I'm asking you to think about it. Your name is think about it. So now think about it. If he wanted it to
No,
be,
I'm not going to think about it. That's the kind of thing that you keep out of your head because that's the thing that
Then live up to
messes
your
you.
name.
Yeah.
Huh?
Live up to your
Live
name.
up to your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about it.
If he
Hey,
wanted
let me
it to
give
be a
you.
different way,
I'm
it
Very
not
would be.
clever,
attacking.
Sean.
Yeah.
I listen.
like that
I'm not
very
trying to.
much.
I'm glad.
I
I'm
think
glad.
you don't think these things went through my head years ago.
Okay.
Everything you're telling me went through my head years ago.
All right.
And
Can I give you
little
a
by little, I
perspective?
found the answer. I always thought that. Why
Think
is God
about it.
allowing things to happen, especially people you love? Why did the God
Breathe.
allow you to take that, but
Yeah.
God gave me the truth. He gave me the
So
way and the truth. And I feel at peace with it. So
if
what I can't understand is why people like you and Sean are going around passing a lot of negativity in a world that really needs a lot of stability. This is not stability.
we got to
ironic.
deal with
It's ironic that you see
You're
this. Hang on.
asking to you're
We got to
I'm
make
sorry.
think
some
about it.
order here.
Think.
Yeah. Go, Sean.
Yeah. So think about it. If God is beyond our comprehension, so we can't look at things and evaluate them to be bad, if it's just if we can't evaluate him to be bad, then you can't evaluate him to be good. Either we can make an assessment about the character of God or we can't.
What?
You can't have a heads I win tails you lose scenario, because that's how you get duped. You're in a
All right.
situation where if we show God like healing the sick or doing something good, you're good with that shows that he's good. But if we show things that are bad, oh, he's beyond our ways, you've put
All right.
yourself in a situation where you can only evaluate him to be good. Don't you see the problem with that?
Well, Joan, the only thing that I could say, the only answer I have here is that I believe everything that Jean was saying to me, that's gone through my mind for years. I've been a Christian, a follower of Christ for years. Before I came to the Lord, all those things, you're not asking me any questions that I didn't think about. The reason I'm answering you is because I'm letting you know how I found out the way I was thinking is not a good way of thinking. And when I was back there thinking that, my life was totally different than it is now. It has improved greatly. I have more hope. I could handle my situation in life better. And I think God brings certain trials into our lives, was losing a child, for us to strengthen us. There's a reason for everything, a
I wish you hadn't
reason.
said that. I really wish you hadn't said, because I know people have
Well,
lost children, and
yeah,
they
it's
would
very
they would
difficult.
not take kindly to
Oh,
someone
I have.
to someone saying the reason that happened was to strengthen them. They would.
What do you think it's gonna make them feel better? Is that if they believe in God, you're gonna say to them, the reason that it happens because God made it happen, and they're
I
believers
think
of Christ.
I think if you believe
That
in
that
God,
that's tragic.
you have to ask those questions. They follow from the
There
belief.
isn't one. Listen, all right, listen to this. My cousin lost her son to cancer when he's an adult guy. 10 years he had cancer. He had leukemia. For 10 years he lasted, and then he died. A year later, her daughter came down with breast cancer. No indication of her having any kind of, cancer, breast cancer, or anything. Then all of a sudden she was diagnosed with fourth stage cancer. Okay. She herself had a massive stroke. They even took a piece of her skull for whatever reason, a massive stroke. Okay.
Praise
Not
Jesus.
once did she blame God. Not once did she
Yeah,
blame
because
God. She
the
has
devout
more
don't.
faith.
Because devout people
Listen to
are
me.
no.
Listen to me,
I'm going to
John.
come in on this for a second. Of course she didn't, because people who already have a belief are preconditioned to interpret everything that happens to them in light of this belief system. They're not thinking critically about this. So
They are. See, that's where you're very negative, and that's where you brings ruins into your chat. You do it in a very nonchalant way because you're a charming man. You really are, and I should stop complimenting you. But you're a charming man, and you have a way with people, and you use that charm to bring out some negativity, which is not right, because I know for a fact from my own experience, I've had some really bad situations happen to me. I had my sister, my brother die within 4 months apart,
that's
and I
awful.
didn't even know they were sick.
That's
Not
awful.
once did I blame God.
Yeah,
Not once did
but
I
of
blame
course you
God.
won't. Of course you won't, because you have
But because
already
that's what I believe.
but
So
you've
even let me
pre-decided.
believe that. Let me
Look,
believe that.
the thing is, I honestly wonder if, okay, I'm going to say something a little bit tricky to you, okay? This is the third,
Trevor. You see,
this is
this
maybe
is
the, hang on a second, this is maybe the third time you've called, right? The third or the fourth. So there's obviously something here that's drawing you to these discussions.
Yes.
And what I'm going
Oh, okay.
to,
Then I won't come here anymore.
and
Okay, I won't come here anymore.
I'm always happy to see you, because I'm
No,
happy to
that's
have
good.
because
I understand.
I'm happy to have the discussions, right? I think the interesting discussions happen when people have different views, and they can kind of bring the views together and see what happens in the wash, right?
No,
But
but you
but
know what?
but
That's it. That's
there's
it.
something that's making you look at this, and I'm going to respectfully say to you
Did
that
you
if hearing my perspective is upsetting for you, and if you're taking it as me trying to take something away from you, then I would respectfully say maybe this isn't the right place for you, even though I
it
enjoy
isn't.
talking to you.
It isn't.
That maybe this
It
is just
isn't.
not the right thing for you, you
No,
know?
you know what it is. You know what it is. The negativity. Now here, Trevor T is putting. He's laughing. Says she is too far gone. This is the kind of people that you attract in
Well,
your chat,
before
because
before
they laugh at Christians.
but
They laugh at believing.
before we cast aspersions on my audience, you need to understand the kind of people I attract are people who have been very hurt by these belief systems, and
Because
it's hard for some people to
they
hear this
find
stuff
negativity. Oh, fuck, they're not
defended. And the
negative.
interesting thing is that you're seeing what I do as being negative. Majority of my audience see what I do as being very positive and very uplifting and legitimizing of them, rather than judging them. And that's
All
what
right.
people
Well,
respond to.
so what you've managed to do, and God help you, what you managed to do is turn people against God and bring them to your chat. And
I'm
I
not turning
like
people
you.
against God.
Honest to God, I do like you. I think you're a nice guy, but I think you're a little bit confused. And when you
Okay.
have people commenting the way these people are commenting, I'm saying to you, what is it that you believe in? And these people believe in that they could be so nasty. This is not, this is you know,
It feels
you expect earth you expect earth to be like heaven. You expect everything to be perfect. You expect
okay.
God to be like a puppeteer. He could just stop things. And but if there's evil in this world, and evil is what's causing all these horrible things to happen, God is allowing it to
God,
happen
God
because
is
he's
allowing
got a
it to
free
happen
will.
because he
He's
doesn't care.
You don't care. The
I mean,
people that in this
I care
group don't
deeply.
care. That's why.
We all care
No.
deeply, and I think that I understand why it's hard for you to hear this stuff, and this is why I say maybe this
No,
isn't
it's not hard for me.
the best
This is the
place for
stuff
you.
I heard before I came to the Lord. The stuff that you're telling me is exactly what came to my
But you
mind
keep on
when I
coming
was a
back here
kid.
for
When I was
some
a
reason.
kid,
Something's bringing you
because I
back.
want to show you. I want to show you about Christ. I want to bring
Okay.
Christ into this room. That's the only
Okay.
reason I come.
Okay. In that case, maybe it's not the best place because this is people haven't
I
come here
thought you would
to.
say that.
Well, people haven't come here
Yeah,
to meet Christ. People have come here
I come here.
to
I don't meet.
hang on. People have come here to not to be preached at. People have come here to listen to discussions and to listen to
Well,
logical
I bring
discussions
Christ with me.
to the application of reason to belief systems which have been quite pernicious and harmful and toxic. And so what you're perceiving as beautiful, many other people perceive as pretty negative and pretty horrible. People
Well,
in
that's
my
the
audience
difference
have been
between.
told that they're not worthy. People in my audience have been told that they deserve punishment. People in my audience have been told that they're going to get punishment. So you could
Yep.
forgive them for not wanting to hear people waltz in here and introduce them to Jesus when some of them have spent painful years getting away from that kind of
That's
idea.
why they feel like they're going to be punished because they know what they're doing is wrong.
No, they don't feel like they're going to be
God,
punished.
listen.
They're just sick and tired of being told by pious people who claim to know
What about
better.
you?
What
What
about
about
me?
you? Don't you think people get sick and tired listening to this?
Well, my audience are
All the
free
Feel
bad
free
things
to
about
scroll
to
through.
leave. TikTok's got a
Sean.
fantastic feature where people can scroll and listen to other stuff, and I work on the assumption that people who don't want
No,
to listen
no,
to what
no,
I have to
no, no,
say
no.
aren't
I
going
didn't say I
to
didn't.
be here. And so I often say, if my messaging is not for you, I respect that. Move on, go somewhere else.
Your message
Where
is not for anybody.
well,
Your message.
23,000 people might beg to differ.
Well, you keep. Of course, it's bad, evil, good, and evil in the world. Of course,
Well,
people are gonna differ.
yeah, there you go. My
So
entire
anyway,
audience,
do you know, John?
is evil. You heard it
No,
here,
I see
folks.
some. No, yeah. Well, I don't know if they're. No, they're not evil. These are good.
Think,
These are not evil people. They're just a little mixed up about God, and I feel sorry for them. But
Yeah.
they're human beings,
I
you
don't think
know.
they need your sympathy. Maybe they need a little understanding
They
rather than
need to hear
patronizing
about
sympathy.
God. They need to hear
They
about God
actually
more.
the last thing they need to hear about is about God because many of them, as I said, had decades of hearing about God and they're quite enjoying not hearing about God now. That's kind of our
by the way,
hobby.
think of yeah. By the way, think about it. I do not for a second think that you're a bad person or you have
I do.
malicious
Yeah, go
motive.
ahead.
Let me finish. I
Thank you.
promise this is true. I don't think you're a bad person. I don't think you have malicious intent. And I certainly don't think because you don't agree with my theology, you deserve any sort of punishment, especially
No.
something like hell. I don't think that about you. And I want you to know that I'm going to grant you that irrespective of whether you grant it in return.
Thank you, Sean. That's very sweet of you. I like you too. I really do, and I'm glad that you're on my page, and I'm glad you're seeing where I'm coming from because I'm not a bad person, and
Yeah,
I like.
I don't think you are. Yeah, we both think the other person is misguided. But
Right, we're both misguided. You're misguided, and I'm misguided, but
well,
not
I'm
about the
saying
Lord, but not about
no,
Jesus.
I got you. Like I think we're all wrong about some things. That's a
Yep,
philosophical thing. But I
yep.
think on our theology, I think you're misguided. That doesn't mean I'm judging you as a person, and you think I'm misguided. And we just come here to exchange ideas. That's it. There's
Uh,
nothing personal going on here.
no, I don't. Well, John could be a little bit pushy. You're a little
Me?
bit pushy. John,
Oh,
John, John.
John. Oh, John.
That's
With
He
kind of
could
that
my
be. He
charm.
could be.
That's kind of
He
my
could be a
job.
little
Like,
bit.
I'm a little
He could be
protective.
a little negative and pushy.
I'm a little protective about my audience. You'll have to forgive me for that.
No, you shouldn't be protective. They could protect themselves.
They can, but this is
You're
this
not
is
their
my.
leader. You're not their leader.
I'm not claiming
This
to
is
be a
your
leader.
opinion,
This is my
John. This
opinion.
is your opinion.
Absolutely
You may
right.
be wrong.
I
You
may
may
be.
be wrong.
It's the only one I have,
Okay,
and I
but if you have
wield it
doubts
as I
about
will.
your, if you have doubts about what you're saying, because you said maybe, then I don't have any doubts about what I'm saying.
Well, maybe you should.
Okay,
Maybe you should.
I don't, and I will never, because I've dealt with non-believers.
Well,
For years, I've dealt with non-believers.
there
and
you
still
go.
brings me
You know,
closer to God.
my
It
advice would
scares
be
me.
my advice would be that we should always leave some room for doubt. We should always leave
No,
leave
no.
open, even gently, the possibility that we may not have it right, because that's what intellectual honesty is. That's how we
No.
learn. That's how we learn. That's how we modify our views. And we should always be prepared to do
No,
that.
when I see what
and-
happens to non-believers, the horrible
well,
things that they have to go through.
what often happens to non-believers is that they experience a feeling of profound joy, not being constrained by these silly stories anymore, which brings us right back to where
Right,
we
because they
started.
go around they go around sinning and doing stuff because they don't have a God to
Okay.
make them feel
Well,
uncomfortable.
That's rather silly.
I
isn't
don't do
it?
that. I don't do that.
That's rather silly.
Anyway, you know what, John? I love you. I think you're a great person, and someday I will see you switch over. I know I could see it in your eyes.
I think that's extremely unlikely, but you may be right.
And I
How
could
about
see
that?
it in your smile.
I'm going to give you the concession that you wouldn't give me. You may be right. I mean, I wouldn't
I
bet.
know
I
I
wouldn't
may be
bet any
right.
significant sums on it, but you may be right.
Well,
Anyway,
that's because of your mindset now.
there's
I was nice, Chad. You should go to sleep. It's 2:30 already.
It's very late. The Freedom from Religion Foundation annual conference is happening in October, so I'll see you there.
In your dreams, okay? Keep dreaming about it, okay? God bless you.
Take it
Love
easy.
you guys. Love
Bye-bye.
you guys. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird one, you know. I can't get on board with that kind of dogmatic certainty. I hope I never have it. You know, I feel very confident in the things I say, and I am someone who thinks my views through very, very carefully before I express them, probably more than most people. But I would never say, there's no possibility I'm wrong. There's no possibility my mind will change. No possibility. Just that feels to me like shutting the door to engaging with things honestly, because honesty must involve an openness to say, well, there are some things that might make me change my view, even if I can't entirely define what they are.
Yep. And shutting the door to even scrutinizing a thing. The truth never has anything to fear from any amount of scrutiny.
For
So,
sure.
okay, well, let's explore. Why do children get malaria? Let me scrutinize it. Can I reconcile this? What makes logical sense? If God actually exists and if God is actually all good, then there would be nothing wrong with really putting the claims of those attributes under a microscope. There would be nothing wrong with doing that.
Yep, for sure, for sure. Okay, another invitation for you on the YouTube side if you would like to get involved, tinyurl.com/JCGuest. We'd love to talk to you. No one on the YouTube side yet, but on the TikTok side, we have David has been waiting for absolutely ages, so we'll bring David in. Then we have Breezy back again, and then we'll see what happens after that. We also have Baku waiting with some more questions. Welcome back, David.
Hey, brother, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. And hi to Sean as well.
How you doing, David?
Good, thank you, sir. Would it be okay if I held your feet to the fire for a minute?
You can hold my feet to the fire.
Please.
My request would be, when we've had conversations
Yep.
before, they've tended to dissemble quite a lot. So let's try and keep this moving,
Yep.
succinct,
All right.
short answers, not essays between questions and stuff like that. I'll do the same and you can do the same,
Yep.
and we'll keep it moving along, because otherwise it gets a bit hard to get through the material.
Annoying for everyone else.
Yeah, just a bit dull.
And by the
Okay.
way, I'd much prefer Yeah, and I'd much prefer to like have a conversation about the sort of the meta themes that you know that you sort of like push in your podcast. So I like those like broader ideas much better. But I just want to point out, I've noticed a couple of videos that you've put out where you sort of held some of your callers held their feet to the fire about a couple of things. From the law of Moses.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to point out that, as far as I'm concerned, that you're wrong. Um, and I would
Okay.
hope that, you know, and I sort of get the idea that you have the capacity to recognize that. And I sort of didn't understand why you do it, because to me it was, you know, sort of, you know, journalism 101 would be to actually know what you're talking
So
about
let's get specific.
before you have these
So
conversations.
let's get specific.
Yeah. So
Use a
you
specific
yeah.
example.
Yeah. So you had a conversation with someone about Leviticus 22 and whether bats are birds,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And there's a video that sort of, I didn't watch the entirety of it, but it's sort of, that's the theme of it. It starts out with that, and you're really sort of pushing this guy on the subject. I'd just
Yeah.
like to make the point to you that the word for birds in Leviticus 13 is exactly the same word in the Hebrew as the word for flying insects in verse 20. So there's two separate verses. One of them's talking about basically flying animals, and the next one's basically talking about flying insects. The word in the Hebrew is identical for both, and it doesn't mean birds or flying insects. It basically just means flying things.
Yeah. But
And the young man you were talking to didn't
didn't have a
know.
clue. He was completely
Go.
clueless. But the point is,
Yeah,
this doesn't actually
yeah,
matter, because the fact that birds and bats were grouped together in that way suggest a taxonomic classification that people is like was folk for that time. It's not it's meaningless in terms of how we actually classify animals together, and it's just a signpost to say that people in that time grouped bats and birds together as flying things. That's not a meaningful taxonomy, because birds and bats are not the same type of thing just because they happen to fly. So it was just that it was revealing of the fact that
yeah.
these texts were written by people, not by the creator of the universe, or even inspired by, because the creator
No,
would
no,
have
I get
known
that, and I understand. No, no.
that it's arbitrary to group them
Yeah,
together
yeah,
because they both happen to fly. I mean, it's the reason why we don't group together pigeons and mosquitoes.
yeah. No, I get that, and I understand that. That's why you were making the point with this young guy. But here's the thing: is the two different sections are grouped together in terms of flying insects and flying animals, which is precisely what you've just said to me. We don't group birds with mosquitoes, and so that's the Bible's not doing that. It could, because the word in the Hebrew basically just means flying things. Now, for whatever reason, the law of Moses, they're grouped into two separate paragraphs. And if you were going to you could either put the bats in their own category or just include them with the rest of the flying animals. Does that
David,
make
do
sense?
rabbits chew cud?
Yeah.
Sorry?
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation before.
Do rabbits chew cud?
Yeah.
They don't. Are rabbits ruminants?
Look, no. Not in the same sense as a cow.
Not in any sense. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Look, honestly, here's the thing. I don't know.
No, that's a question.
Right,
No, because you're talking about you're coming at me about
no.
saying things that I don't know what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about it. How many stomachs
Yes.
does a rabbit have?
Yes. No. Look, I'm not interested.
I'm waiting
in
for a
having
number
that
actually.
conversation with you.
How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Yeah.
Yes is not an
I'm
answer
not
to how many
interested in
stomachs.
that conversation.
Well, this is the one we're having, my friend. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
No. Well, look, if you've had the conversation with another guy, that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm not.
How many
ambushing you,
stomachs does a
right?
rabbit have?
Not interested in having this conversation with you.
We're going to have it.
We've talked about it before.
We're not moving on until you give me a number. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Well, maybe I'll come back back in a week and have the conversation with you. Is that fair?
You're perfectly welcome to. I'll ask you the same question then. You can
Yeah,
go and
yeah.
research it.
Perfect.
Okay, come back when
Yep.
you know how
Because
many
then,
how many stomachs a rabbit has, and we'll talk about whether rabbits are
yep.
ruminants. Should we do that?
Okay.
All right. Speak
Yeah,
speak
sure.
when you
Happy
found
to
out.
do it.
All right. Let me know.
All right.
All right.
So, are we able to have a conversation about anything else?
No, we're going to not proceed until you tell me how
No.
many stomachs a rabbit has.
So this is this. So
I
if
mean,
you
you can
ask,
Google it real quick.
yeah. No, look, I'm on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and here's the thing, right? I wouldn't come at you, right, and hold your feet to the fire about something that you. I wouldn't expect you to know everything off the top of your head. If I asked you a question,
let's be
and you
clear
said,
here.
look, I
Let's
haven't.
be clear here,
Yeah,
David.
go.
You came
Yeah,
in and said
yeah,
that you had an objection
yeah,
with the fact that I was talking about things without knowing what
yeah,
I was talking about. So I'm now speaking about one of the other
yeah,
Levitical laws, which classifies rabbits as falsely, in fact, hares and rock badgers as chewing the cud, and chewing the
yeah,
cud is an activity exclusively
yep,
done by ruminants. And so I'm asking, as you want to
yep,
have a discussion along the lines of knowing what we're talking about, let's demonstrate it now. And that's
yep,
why I'm going to
yep,
follow the conversation you decided to have by looking into these issues, because I think I do know
yep.
what I'm talking about about on this. And so that's why
Okay,
I
so
asked you
do you
if
so do
rabbits,
you
how many stomachs rabbits have.
yep,
So until we're clear on that, I don't think we
yep,
can really proceed with the conversation.
yep.
I'm happy to wait if you want to go and Google it.
Oh, really? So, oh, well, as I told you, I'm on my phone.
Okay.
You could still minimize and go Google it
You
real
could just go
quick.
and Google it for a minute.
No. Look, no. Look, honestly, I had a look at this the other day. I mean, I already have an answer for you, but I don't think it's a good answer. I don't think it's a comprehensive answer, and my preference would be to, this is the point: is talking about things that we don't know about, and I'm
Dude,
choosing to
if
not
you're
do
if
that.
you're gonna if
I
you're
would
gonna
much
if you're
rather
going to
go
come and tell
away.
me
Yeah.
that I'm engaging with people without knowing what I'm talking about, you better come with the
Yep.
facts.
Well,
Otherwise, you look a
you
bit
have.
silly.
You have.
It's David. It's actually worse than that because you came in and implied dishonesty. You said you think he's smart enough to know better and to better understand it. You really
Yep.
were implying that John was being intentionally dishonest.
Oh, I don't know. I, I, I mean, look, honestly, John seems to be like a meticulous person. So I have to ask the question, why would, and basically from what we, the 30 seconds that we went through, those two paragraphs in Leviticus 22, it seems that John was aware of the fact that the word for flying insects is the same word as used in the previous paragraph for birds and bats.
The
So if John
the
knows
point
that,
of that
why is he
discussion,
holding someone's feet to the
because
fire?
the point
Yeah,
of that discussion
go.
was to show that the classification of animals in those Levitical laws was ignorant. It was naive, and it was a
Yeah,
folk classification only based on one particular attribute that they happened to fly, which was completely silly. It's just
yeah,
it's what you would expect of text written by people in those days. Similarly, the erroneous classification of rock badgers and hares as chewing the cud is also the
yeah,
sort of mistake you would expect to find were those texts written just by people during those days who didn't understand that what they took to be chewing the cud actually wasn't chewing the cud, and therefore it's an error in the
yep,
text, which was the point of the example in the first place. It's why I brought it up to that poor fellow who I agree with you was
yep,
completely not equipped for the hike. And respectfully, it sounds a little bit like you're
yep.
not equipped for the hike either.
Okay, well, do you really think that I could not ask you 28,000 questions about the Bible that you don't
Well,
have an answer
I
to?
wouldn't come into a conversation with you accusing you of not knowing what you're talking about on that matter for
Yep,
that reason.
yep. And the only reason I brought it up, is because you brought it up, right? And by the
Well,
way, I actually didn't want to have this conversation. I was just, I'm disconcerted about the fact that you held this guy's feet to the fire about that. And by
Well,
the way, I don't want to embarrass you, but I just want to make the point that if you're going to have conversations with guys like that, who he sounded like a young guy, right?
I didn't
And by
force
the
him
way,
to
it's not
call.
about that. I don't think it's
I didn't force him to call
no, no.
David.
I get
He
that.
he
I
called,
get that.
and I asked him a
No, I
question
get
during
that.
that conversation where he was making claims
Yeah.
about him trusting the Bible, and I said, "How can we trust a book
Yep. I know.
that's got
Yep.
lots of
I got
errors?"
that.
He said it's
Yep.
got no errors, and I said, "Are you
Yep.
sure?" I said, "0
Yep.
errors." I
Yep.
don't make outgoing calls.
Yep.
If anyone wants to call me, I'm not going to pre-screen people in case they're idiots. I'm not going to pre-screen people in case they don't know anything. If people want to call me, all I can do is have a conversation with them.
Yeah. But what? But why not then use an example that's substantial? Why use an
Well, I'm using
example
one
of
with you
something
now and
that
you're
doesn't
floundering.
hold? Yes.
There you go.
Well, no, I'm not floundering.
How
I'm
many
not
stomachs does a
floundering.
rabbit have?
I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about that.
How many stomachs does a rabbit
Well, I'm
have?
not going to have this conversation with you
So
now.
not happy to have it then.
I, I'm not going to have this conversation with you now.
Okay,
I'm happy to have a conversation with you about other things. I'm happy to move on.
well, I
Honestly,
think
I'm happy to move on
we can move on then. But that's the conversation
and have
we're having.
conversation about other stuff. Yep.
Yeah. How about
And
this? Why is God hiding?
yeah, thank you so much, Sean.
Sure.
Look, honestly, I don't think that's true. I don't think God's
Okay.
hiding at all. Yeah.
Okay. So, does most of the world either believe in no God or the wrong God?
Yes.
Okay. So the one true God is unperceivable to them. They cannot perceive the God. They don't believe he exists. So that
Yep.
by definition means God is hiding, right? God's choosing not to expose himself, which means he's hiding.
Well, yeah, look, I guess in a sense you could say that, but here's the thing. I mean, if we're going to examine the biblical narrative for things like that, let's begin with the idea that God started out making himself known personally to the people that he was interacting with. And at
Right, and
every
he's
point,
he's not
yeah,
hiding to those people. So I'll tell you who
correct.
he's not hiding. He's not hiding. He's not hiding from the people in the Bible he showed himself to, or the Damascus Road experience. All the people he showed himself to in the Bible, and I'll
Yeah,
even fast forward to today. For the people who are able to perceive him, the believers, the ones who believe in the right God, he is not hiding from those people. But God is all
yeah,
powerful, according to your view,
yeah,
and there's most of the world, they don't perceive that he exists. So God
yeah,
is choosing to remain unperceptible to those people. So
yeah.
by definition, the logic is infallible. He is hiding from them.
Okay, here's my answer to that. All right, I run the universe, and I want to build a family. Right, so I'm the creator. I'm the source of life, and I want to build a family for myself. The
Okay.
way that I do that is to provide autonomy to my creation. Right,
Yep.
so God creates the human race and gives us the capacity to to be connected to him or not be connected to him. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. I'll use the family analogy. Let's say
yeah,
20 years ago, I had a fun night, and unbeknownst to me, I ended up having a son that I didn't know about. Come to
yeah,
find out, the mom is mean. She told him, "Oh, your father passed away in a salt mine," so he doesn't know that I even exist.
yeah.
Is it possible for him to use his free will to have a relationship with me under that condition, or does it require me to show him I exist before he can actually use his free will to choose to have a relationship with me?
Well, either or.
So if he doesn't know I exist, he can choose to have a relationship with me?
Oh no, no. I mean, if he makes the effort to find out who you are, I mean, the guy obviously knows
Yeah.
he's got a dad somewhere.
Yeah, so just in case he searches, she didn't give him my real name, and he can't find me, but he genuinely searched and he couldn't
Yeah,
find me.
yeah,
Can he use his free will to have a relationship with me?
yeah. I mean, it's dependent on you as well, but
It's yes, it's thank you. It's
Yeah,
dependent on me to make
yeah.
myself known to him. And I agree, it's dependent on God to make himself known to most of the world that either doesn't believe in a God or believes in the wrong gods.
Okay, so let me ask you a question to use your style of analogy. Um, if you have a family with children who are the most outrageous type of children that you could imagine, so they kill each other, they're always in jail, they're stealing, they're selling drugs, they're committing, all kinds of
Am I one
horrendous
of these
crimes.
children in this analogy, by the way?
No, 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 no. You're
Okay,
the
go ahead.
dad. You're the dad, brother. You're
Okay,
the good
okay, I'm
guy.
the dad. I
You're
have
the
these unruly children. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you've spent your whole life dealing with this, and they've got kids of their own, and their children are the same. So every time you try to help one of them, they turn up at your house, and you let them stay for a couple of days,
Yeah,
and they
and these
just
kids know I
treat.
exist, right? These kids know
Yeah,
I
yeah,
exist. Yeah, okay.
yeah, and the grandkids too, and they're they're cleaning out your house and your home. You
Yeah.
can't you can't feed your wife, and you're always struggling. The cops are always there. Do you think that you would reach a point with these children where you would go, they come knock on your door and you just don't even answer it? I mean, people
Sure.
in yeah,
Sure, but yeah, but I'm talking about in this analogy. In this analogy, we
yep,
have most of the world who does not know God exists, and you
yep,
agree that if they don't know God exists, they cannot choose to have a relationship with Him, right?
yep,
And you agreed that if God wants to have a relationship with them, they it's incumbent upon God to let us know He exists,
yep.
stop hiding, and then we have the free will to have a relationship with Him, right?
Okay, well, I think you're wrong. How is it incumbent on deity to walk around, having conversations with people?
Because he's imperceptible to most of the planet, simply because this guy was born into a Hindu home, this
Yep,
guy was born into a Buddhist home and
yep,
culture. So he's in, even I'm sure they've met Christians and been evangelized to, but God is imperceptible to him.
yep,
So
yep,
God is choosing not to expose himself, i.e., he remains hidden. He is choosing to hide, right?
yep, yep.
Okay.
And yeah,
Why?
absolutely.
So
I
God is
and
hiding. We've established that. Why is God hiding?
oh look, I'm just agreeing with you, right?
Okay.
For the
Yeah.
for the sake of moving the conversation forward. And I'd
No,
have
no,
to
no,
say,
no. I don't want you to do that. Like if you disagree that he's
no,
hiding, I
no,
don't.
no, no. I want to address that, right? And I'd
Okay.
have
So
to
why is he hiding?
I'd have to answer that with 2 points. Is the first point is that it's not incumbent upon God to personally make himself known to people in this lifetime,
It is
right?
If you want,
if he's going to chuck
That's
him in
not one of the
burning lakes
unwritten
for not
laws of the
knowing him.
universe.
If he's going to impose punishments on people for not having a relationship with him, it
Yep,
is absolutely incumbent on him to make himself known. If it's all
and
manana
yep,
and
and
everything's fine and
yep,
kumbaya, and he doesn't care what people believe or how, or
yep,
whether there's a relationship there or not, and there are no consequences involved, yeah, then that's
yep,
fine.
yep, yep. No, will you tell me where in the Bible it says that God is going to raise these people from the dead and then punish them
Well,
oh,
for
where in
their
the
lack?
Bible
Yeah,
for non?
we've established that there are you can
for,
look at scripture and use it to justify
yep,
various different eschatological perspectives that people can hold, right? So some people will say there's
yeah,
annihilation, some people will say first death or second death or things or whatever. I don't really care. The fact is that the
yeah,
doctrine teaches, and you may not believe this personally, but billions of people do, that non-belief is a
yeah,
problem in some way, that you're going to have a problem if you don't have this relationship, that it's required in some way. So as long as that's the case, it is
yeah.
absolutely on him to facilitate the relationship by not hiding.
Yeah, but this is where, see, I'm not billions of people, right? I'm I guess like I'm a, some simple Bible student, right? I follow what the Bible says, and the Bible says that, you may want to you know, bring up stuff like the, you know, first resurrection, the second death, and go, well, you know, hey, look, that doesn't explain anything. But, you know, the entire purpose of the second resurrection is to give people that didn't have a relationship with, you know, God in their lifetimes, you know, an opportunity to be confronted with his existence, you know, in the flesh. You
So
know,
here's
the first
Luke's Luke,
resurrections for the, you know, people. Yeah, go.
Luke commenting on
Yeah,
Jesus' words. Jesus says, I tell you, my friends, do not fear
yep,
those who kill the body. After that can do nothing more, so the
yep,
authorities and the other people on earth. But I will show you whom to fear. Fear the one who, after killing, has authority to cast into hell. Yes, I tell you to
yep,
fear that one. So he's already showing
yep,
that. And in Matthew, he says the same thing again, right? Here he is, Matthew 10:28.
yep,
Do not fear those who kill the body,
yep,
but cannot kill the soul. Fear the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. So he's already signaling, isn't he?
yep,
Jesus is signaling
yep.
that God's into chucking people into burning places and God knows what. It's not very nice.
No, well, look, we've had this conversation before, and as far as I'm aware, you understand the fact that hell in the Bible is the grave, right? So, you know, by the same token as the Lord Jesus Christ is saying, you know, that God has the capacity to throw people back into the grave, you should also understand that the Lord Jesus Christ is also saying that, you know, that God also has the capacity to do something completely different with those people, right? So it's dependent on those people and their response. It's not everyone's going to die. If everyone was going to die, do you think I'd be having a conversation with you right now? I
Thank you
wouldn't.
for
I'd
the
be off doing something
TikTok
completely
thing.
different,
That's hilarious. I just got an
right?
amazing
You know,
Egyptian
so
thing
this
on
is
TikTok.
basic stuff.
Yeah, but it's still
No,
you
I
still
actually
can't get
like the
you
butterfly.
still that was
Did
excellent, but you still can't get
go?
away from the fact that
No,
he's
did you did you see the butterfly that someone gave
I,
you
I,
earlier?
I actually missed the butterfly, but I loved the Egyptian pharaoh thing.
No, the butterfly was way better.
Fair enough. I missed that.
Yeah, it was really really good.
We
Yeah,
still can't get away from this idea that there are
yeah.
consequences for not having the right type of relationship. That's a problem.
No, the consequence is yes, there's a difference. I wouldn't call it a consequences for both classes of people. The Bible tells us that the people that are unacceptable to God will be destroyed. Right? There's none of this eternal punishment nonsense, right? And we've had this conversation about Gehenna and how it's a metaphor for destruction, right? But the consequence for people that aren't acceptable to God, the consequence is identical in both cases. So for people who are called the responsible, so that would be the household of faith, let's just call it, who are going to be accountable at the first resurrection of the dead. The consequence for the people who are unacceptable at that point in time is exactly the same as the consequence for the people who are found unacceptable at the second resurrection, which is a return to the grave. Right? So the consequences are the same. The criteria, by the way, the criteria for acceptability is also identical, which is if God, for whatever reason, considers that your mental capacities are something that He approves of, in both cases there's a reward. The only difference between the two is that the Bible tells us that the first resurrection is for the people who have had to walk through this lifetime by faith, right? The children of Abraham by faith, right? The second resurrection of the dead is for everyone else, right? So you're painting this picture of that if you don't have a relationship with God in this lifetime, that you're automatically going to be destroyed, and that's 100% not biblical.
Well,
That's not what the Bible teaches,
even if we
right?
were to grant that, and as I said to you, that's your particular
Yeah,
interpretation. Everyone thinks their own interpretation is the right one. There are many people who have a different view on that. Even
yeah,
if we were to grant that, it doesn't get away from the idea that God is
yeah,
hiding. And you seem to pivot earlier from first saying he's not hiding to
yeah,
then saying he doesn't owe you
yeah.
an appearance, which implies that you grant that
No,
he
no,
is kind of hiding.
no, no, and
I actually
yeah,
thought
and
you said outright you agreed he's hiding from some people.
no. Look, look. There's a perspective where you could go, look, God's hiding. I wouldn't call it that, but The circumstances are so, and I'm glad that you brought us back to that, right? But the circumstances are, in the beginning, we're told, like, in the beginning, God had a personal relationship with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And when they were rejected from that garden, he had a personal relationship with people such that he had a conversation with a guy called Cain, right? And we're told that at some point through the wickedness of the descendants of Cain, he basically reached a point where he'd had enough, right? And he had this massive flood, and he changed the course of the creation. And from that point, his relationships with men and women were a lot more distant than they were before the flood, right? And we get this, and every single time this happens, when the relationship gets more distant, it's a result of us turning our back on him. Right. So yes, you could say God's hiding because I can't see him, but I'd say, look, God's not, running around chasing after people, because, every time he does, and let's just call it, the biblical narrative tells us that that's because of things that we've done. That's his response to our decisions.
Can I ask you a
that we
question about
make.
something you just said, David, before we get too bogged down in the
Yeah,
theological perspectives? You talked about
yeah,
Adam and Eve and the garden and stuff. Do you think that's a thing that actually happened?
yes,
You think that there was a man and a woman in a garden, first humans.
yeah.
When in history do you think that was?
Circa 6,000 years ago,
6,000 years ago. Right.
slightly over.
Are you
Yeah.
aware of the fact that that's about 4,000 years after the Mesopotamians perfected ceramic glazing?
Oh, I don't accept that.
Do you accept that some of the stars we look at are billions of light years away?
Yes.
Do you know what a light year is? And
Yes.
this isn't a gotcha. If you don't, I'm not gonna like
No,
be mean about it. Okay, so
perfect.
a light year is a measure of distance.
Yeah.
It's the amount of distance light travels in a year.
Yeah.
So if they're billions of light years away,
Yeah.
when we're seeing the light, we're seeing what the stars looked like billions of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to that perspective of framing it. And look, by the way, I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with
It's
this.
not a
And I've
perspective
had
of
this
framing it.
Well,
conversation with people
It's
before.
I already went there.
we've got
No,
we've
no.
got a word for that perspective of framing it.
Oh,
It's called reality.
no, and
Yeah.
I'd like to. No, can I
Yeah.
point out the obvious? Can I point out the obvious to you, if that's all right? The obvious point that I have to assume that most people would realise is that, according to the biblical narrative, God created those stars, and they are billions of light years away. That the
Right.
same God has the capacity to create the light emanating from those stars at exactly the same time. So I create the star, it's 28 billion light years away, but I also create the stream
Ah,
of light from that star at the same time. So
Yeah.
that's not an
actually,
argument
I can
Just to
against.
work with
fool
that.
us.
I can work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I can work with that. So
yeah,
he created the stars, and by the nature of what stars are, they emulate light. So that
yeah,
he created a star billions of light years away,
yeah,
but it would still take the light billions of light years to get here, or
yeah,
excuse me, billions of years to get here.
yeah,
Or did God magically use magic and just make the light immediately hit Earth from billions of light years away?
yeah. At exactly the same time as it created the stars. Like,
Y-
why
y-
not?
Just to screw us over.
Okay.
Just to
Yeah,
fuck with
pretty
everyone.
simple.
And then you wonder
Well,
why we say, why is he
look,
hiding? He's gone to great lengths to make the
no, but hang
universe
on. Have
look
you ever
exactly
considered?
like he's just messing with us, right? Why would he
No,
do that?
but at the same time, written a book that explains all this stuff to us.
That doesn't understand
So
that
you're saying,
rabbits
God's
aren't
hiding in
ruminants in his book.
David, do you believe the Big Bang happened?
Uh, Look, honestly, we don't know. I mean, Genesis begins with, like, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then we get to, day one of creation. We're not told, what was happening in that point of time. So honestly, I don't know, and that's not. Look, I think that's important to ask these questions, but look, it doesn't change the biblical narrative, and it doesn't change I think something that people get lost on is, whether the Bible's internally consistent or not. Have these like
It's not.
opposing. Sorry.
But
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm sorry.
You're.
I said that while you were speaking. I apologize. Go
No,
go
no,
ahead, David.
that's okay. I don't agree with you, Sean.
Yeah,
I've spent 35 years being a Bible student, and by the way, last thing I fucking ever would have wanted to be was a fucking Bible student, right? I mean,
Still
I
time
grew
to
up in,
change.
look, it's
I was gonna say that, but I was like, no, I won't say it.
well, look, boys, let me tell you, you work harder, all right? Work harder. Like, bring me good, strong arguments against why the God of the Bible is inconsistent, right? Really good, strong answers. I mean, look, we had a guy saying earlier about, heaven's inconsistent because, Satan, a third of the angels are cast down to earth, right? Let me just point out, Revelation 1 verse 1, this is a book of symbols, showing my servants the things that are going to come to pass. Revelation is a hieroglyph about the future. It's not about angels in heaven at all, right? And the guy comes from that perspective, and he couldn't be bothered wasting the time, right, to go and actually find out, what the prophetic section of the book of
What was
Revelation is all
Joseph's
about.
father's name?
So Joseph, the guy who was with Pharaoh in Egypt.
No, Joseph, Mary's.
Is that the guy you're talking about?
Mary's other half. Jesus's kind of stepdad.
Oh,
What was his father's name?
Look, honestly, only going off the top of my head because I bumped across this the other day. I think it was. Is it Heli?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in Luke 3.
Honestly, I can't remember.
In Luke 3:23, it says that it's Heli, right?
Yeah.
So why does the book of Matthew say it's Jacob?
Because two parents.
Joseph had two fathers.
I mean,
No,
in today's day and age, that's allowed.
No. Beg my pardon. The Lord Jesus Christ had two parents, right? Two earthly.
I'm not asking about the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm asking about Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph's father was Heli
Yep.
in the book of
Yep.
Luke, and Jacob
Yep.
in the book of Matthew. Did Joseph have two fathers?
Can you show me the Luke one? Just scroll down a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, too far.
Sorry, there we go. Sorry, there we go.
Too far.
Yeah, there you go. Jesus was about 30 years old when he began his work. He was the son of Joseph, son of Heli. So we can agree that this statement shows that Joseph's father was called Heli, right? In the book of Matthew, there's a different view. Joseph's father has magically turned into Jacob. Did Joseph have two fathers?
No. My point is that one of them's the line of Mary, right? And one
I beg your pardon.
The line of
Is Mary's father Joseph's father as well?
No. Look at the difference is, right? They're clearly two different genealogies, right? So
for the same man, yeah.
For the same man.
Yeah. So you didn't even need to ask.
Do we understand what it means for someone to be someone's father?
I hope so.
Okay, so let's look at the book of Matthew and let's look at what this actually means. Jacob,
actually, sorry, go ahead.
The father of Joseph. In this phrase,
Yeah.
who is Jacob's son?
No, look, it's not necessary to,
Joseph.
It's not necessary to, have this point by point.
But that's how we establish what these verses mean, and that's how we establish that this is nothing to do with Mary, right? So we're going to look at this.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it's quite simple.
I know it's right.
One of them's the genealogy of Mary, right, through Mary, and the other's the genealogy through Joseph.
Is it?
They both say father of Joseph.
So they both talk about the father of Joseph. So explain to me, please, how the father of Joseph is a genealogy through Mary, because I have a father, and he's nothing to do with the genealogy of my wife.
Yeah. No, and do you notice
So
that?
please explain
Look,
that.
no. Look, there's a whole bunch of reasons, right? And I'd like to point out like something that
Just
really
one of them
obvious
would
is
do.
like if you,
David,
yeah,
I
no,
actually have a way to, for
go.
you to reconcile this, but it's going to require you to have a more progressive liberal interpretation of what the Bible has to say about gay marriage. That is a situation where Joseph can have two
That is
fathers.
conceivable. That's the only one. Yep.
No, I heard you
Actually,
drop that.
I think if you adopt that right now, like the Bible supports gay marriage, I'm going to say, you know what, David, you're good, and we'll be good
We'll
from
Ca-
there.
we'll
Oh,
award you this point.
can I go? Can I go you one step further? Let's see if we can really flip the universe on its head. Let me go one step further. Because the Lord Jesus Christ had a conversation about homosexuality.
It's so
All
cute
right,
how
so
you
there's a lot
say
of
the
people.
Lord Jesus Christ every time you say his name.
No, I'm sorry. I don't
You could
every
just
time.
say
I don't.
Jesus. It's
Not
all right.
sure.
We'll save hours.
No, I'm so
Don't.
sorry. I'm not sure I do it every single time, but yeah, fair comment. No, look, here's the thing. It's like Jesus had a conversation with people about homosexuality in public, right? So people get hung up on this. God hates, homosexuals and all this kind of stuff, right?
He
The Lord
does.
Jesus Christ had a conversation
Did it
with
again.
people about, his perspective on, the so-called religious people of his day, versus people that look. Let's not beat around the bush about it. God considers homosexuality a sin. All right. Now we don't need to have that conversation, but the Lord Jesus Christ says publicly. He says, if those people, an example from the Old Testament, if those people were here today, right, they would understand who I am and they would understand what I was talking about. In other words, there would be a relationship between me and them.
I'm
Versus you
sorry. We
guys,
have to go
right,
back to
the
the
religious
genealogy
people.
again.
Yeah, sorry.
We've skated away
Oh,
from the reason I brought that up. We don't need to get and talk
I
about gay rights.
yeah,
The reason I brought it up is
no,
you were challenging us to show how this book is contradictory and unreliable. And I've just given you a perfect example. It can't even get something as important as
yeah,
who was Jesus's step paternal grandfather correct. If it can't get a detail like
yeah,
that correct, which is pretty fundamental, right? Joseph is
yeah,
Jesus's kind of stepfather.
yeah,
He's not his real father because of reasons.
yeah,
If it can't agree with itself on who his father was, why should we trust
yeah,
it on anything else?
yeah. Look, that's a decent question to ask, but
I
I
know. That's
guess like
why
the
I just
simple
asked it.
answer is they're two different genealogies. Yeah, and they're two different genealogies.
How?
I can't explain that to you. Well, one of them's through Joseph and one of them's through Mary. I mean, this is
You,
not rocket
you,
science.
They both
dude.
say Joseph's dad.
Now we're going to have to start
Yes.
laughing in a minute because we've been very clear that this is nothing to do with Mary.
Yeah.
Joseph's father. If this is only a genealogy to do with Mary, if Joseph is
That's
Mary's
your
brother,
perspective.
if
That's cool.
Joseph was Joseph Mary's brother,
That's your perspective.
was Joseph Mary's brother?
Well,
Hey, there's another way out.
What you're saying now is that Joseph and Mary
asking these
were
like
in an incestuous relationship, and that explains why Joseph's father was also Mary's father. Is that your position?
No, but they would
no,
still
no,
have to share only one father, though. So even like if it was an Alabama marriage, that wouldn't
yeah.
help.
Yeah.
It's
No,
true.
do you guys seriously not realize that the people who've been compiling the Bible, let's just say the New Testament for the last, 1800, 1900 years, do you not think that they would have noticed that? And if they thought it was a problem, that they would have just, changed one of those
I think
genealogies?
I think there are even bigger problems in the Bible than that they apparently didn't notice or hoped no one else would notice. So
Such as?
your explanation of this is that Joseph
Yeah.
had two fathers, and the way we explain this is that one of them was actually Mary's father. Is that your position?
No.
So then I'm going
One
to
of
ask
them's
you,
the
what is the name of Joseph's
genealogy
father?
of Mary.
What is the name of
Yeah.
Joseph's father?
Look, honestly, I can't remember which one's which.
Jacob or Heli?
Do I need
What
to
is
be
the name?
crucified
What
for
is the
that?
name of Joseph's father?
I've just given you an answer to that, John. I
What
can't
was your
remember
answer?
which one's which.
Okay,
Is
well, if you
My
pick,
answer
if
is I
you
can't
pick,
remember which one's
so
which.
let's say you pick one of them. Let's say
Because
you
I don't
decide to
waste
go
my
with
I don't
Luke
waste
and you
I
pick
don't I
Heli.
don't yes.
Okay, well then
Let's
who? Then
yeah.
is it
Honestly, I don't
false?
waste my time getting hung up
Hang
on
on,
stuff like that.
hang on a minute. If you're
I don't
claiming
waste my time
inerrancy,
getting hung up on
you're
that
going.
kind of
It's not a
stuff.
waste of time. If you're claiming inerrancy for this book, you better put your time towards
But
defending
I
it.
haven't. But
Okay,
I
right.
haven't claimed inerrancy, have I?
Okay. Well, you've
Have I?
claimed that it's reliable and
Right?
that it's internally consistent. Sean made the claim earlier that it's not internally consistent, and you tried to
Right.
argue against that. So let's imagine that
Yeah.
you decide
Yeah.
that you want Joseph's father to be Heli,
Yeah.
as written in the book of Luke. Is the book of Matthew correct in its
Sure.
statement that Jacob is Joseph's father? Is it correct about that?
Well, one of the genealogies is the
Now
genealogy
that would be
of
it'd be a
Mary.
yes or a no. Is
Well,
it correct that Jacob is Joseph's father?
well, yes or no? I don't know. I honestly
I'm
I don't
asking
remember
you.
which one's which. Honestly,
No,
I don't
I'm
care.
saying if we grant, I
Okay,
understand
well,
that you don't know which is which.
and
Pick one of them. It doesn't
I've
matter.
answered you. I've answered you 8 times. I've
You
answered
haven't
you eight
answered me
times.
once.
I
You
don't
haven't answered me
know because I
once.
can't remember, and I don't
No,
care.
David, you're getting caught up on the
Well,
specifics, and
I keep
I'm
giving you the
granting flexibility on the specifics. I'm saying whichever one you want to pick, I
No,
don't care.
you're
I'm not going to let you get away with
I've given
this.
you the simple.
Whichever one you want to pick as being
Sure.
Joseph's father,
I've
is
I've
the Bible
I've given
correct
I've given
about
you
the
this.
other one also being Joseph's
I've given
father?
you. I've given you the simple, obvious answer that
You
a
haven't.
child could understand.
You haven't given
about
an answer at
14
all.
times.
You haven't
which
given
is
an
that
answer once.
One of the
You've just said that one of them's about Mary's genealogy.
genealogies. Okay.
That's what you've said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you
so,
want to know which one's which. I can't
no,
remember.
I'm not.
I can't
I'm
remember
not
which one's
asking you which one's which.
And I don't really care.
You're the only person in the room who seems to be missing this. I don't give a shit which one's which. You can pick either one you want. I don't care. Whichever one you pick, the other one is still claimed to also be Joseph's father. So I'm asking you, whichever one you pick, is it true that the other one is
but
also?
why is that?
Is it true that the other one is also Joseph's father, or is that false?
No. And if you look, and if you like, just calm down for a second,
I'm
you'd
super
notice
calm
that
right
there's
now.
a difference in the way that. Right, sweet. Well, you might notice there's a difference in the way that Matthew and Luke have phrased that parenthood, right? So what does Luke say that's different to Matthew?
One of them says
I mean, you had
Jacob, the father of Joseph, and the other one says
Yep.
that Joseph was the son of Heli. The only difference is in the way it's phrased, but the actual semantic meaning is identical. Person A is the son of person B. Or person B is the father of person A.
And you're missing out the obvious point.
The obvious point being?
What's the you can bring it up on the screen again if you want to. I mean, I'll point it out to you if you really want me to.
Yeah, I do really want you to.
Right, there's a difference between those. Oh, sweet.
There we go.
All right, so we'll go to Matthew. What does Matthew say?
Yeah.
Right, and by the
Matthew
way,
says,
don't need to read it. Right, just go blah blah blah. So Jacob, Mary, Joseph, blah blah blah, Messiah. Right, what does Luke say? Because there's something different in the way that Luke phrases it. Right, the son, as was thought, of Joseph, son of Heli. Right, so but Luke's making 2 points here. Right, he's going, yes, we know that Joseph wasn't his father. And he's going, so therefore, like, don't be surprised if I use Mary's genealogy in
I
this,
think you're
right?
very
And honestly,
confused right
which
now.
one's which.
You're very confused
No,
because
you
as
can,
was thought, this as was
you can think
thought
that.
is referring to
Yep.
people thinking that Jesus was the son
Yep.
of Joseph. The as was thought
Yep.
hasn't got anything to do with who
Yep.
Jesus. You keep on saying yep,
Which
but
is
I'm
precise-
proving what you're saying is
which-
wrong. The as was
No,
thought
that's
has got
precise-
absolutely
No, that's-
nothing
look.
to do with
That's precise.
the as was
That's
thought
precisely
has
what
got absolutely nothing to do with Joseph's father. So if you think that Heli was Joseph's father, it means that Jacob couldn't be Joseph's father. And if you think that Jacob is Joseph's father, it means that Heli couldn't be Joseph's father. And this is nothing at all to do with Mary. Now, I'm going to bring you back to where you started in the conversation, where you came in, guns blazing, to, quote, hold my feet to the fire. That was what you decided you wanted to do today. Now I'm holding your feet to the fire, and I'm sorry it's a little bit warm, but human beings only have one father. Biologically speaking, anyway. Right? You only have one father. You're only able to have a paternal relationship with one person. So if you think it's Heli, it can't be the other guy. And if you think it's the other guy, it can't be Heli. So one of these verses is inconsistent with the other one. It's amazing that I have to spell this out. You'd have done much better to just say, yes, I grant that's an inconsistency in the text. It would have avoided a lot of pain. Are you prepared to do that now? Well, it's all a bit quiet. Not sure why. Sean, are you still there?
David, yeah, I'm still here. David, I'm going to tell you a little secret. You can admit the Bible has errors and inconsistencies and still be a Christian. Lots of people do it. I know some personally.
Yeah. Well, David's not muted. He absolutely is not muted.
You might have muted yourself on accident, David.
Yeah, we're waiting.
I don't know.
There we go.
I don't know. I don't think I have.
Okay, you're back now. We've got.
Sorry.
We've got
no,
you.
no.
Okay.
I just want to say, Sean. No. I just want to say, Sean. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the fact that there are some scribal errors and so on and so forth in the Bible that I don't really have. I don't have an answer to. I mean, look. Here's the thing. It shouldn't be a surprise to you guys. That the so-called Christian community is probably more over that kind of thing than you guys will ever will be. I mean, but people like me have been, looking at the Bible, the New Testament for, hundreds of years, right? I mean, people from the so-called Christian community have published books about, the inconsistencies and, the inaccuracies and so on and so forth in the Bible.
No, I got you, David. The ones who are not. But many are not over it because they stubbornly refuse to admit that the Bible is not inerrant and it has inconsistencies. It has contradictions.
Yep.
Now that comprises a lot of Christians. But go ahead. You could still be a Christian.
Careful about what they.
Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. Look, honestly, look, here's the thing. I noticed you guys having a conversation about one the other day, which was Solomon's horses, right?
Yep.
Was it 40,000 or 4,000, stories?
Yeah, one of them has to be wrong, right?
Yeah, and look, honestly, I spent half an hour looking at it, right? I don't fucking know, and to be quite honest, I could give two shits, right?
Right.
It's if we were to hold if we were to hold NASA's feet to the flame for, mathematical conversion errors, right? We'd stop giving them, money tomorrow, right? I mean,
I promise
this is
you,
really
if NASA
stuff.
made an error by a factor of 1,000, they'd have a problem.
Yep. Well, they have, right? I mean, they lost $125 million probe because of it. Right.
But they're not claiming to be divinely inspired, are they? And they don't have people calling into shows claiming that everything they say is reliable, which is what's happening here. I mean, I think we can beat this one.
No, but I haven't.
Till it's dead. Well, you were saying all of that stuff about Mary's genealogy. That's all nonsense, and you know it. That's just coping, and you know it.
It's
you would have done much better.
Dude.
Don't make me take you back there, because I will.
Do you think that I made
I
that
will
up?
take you back there if you want
to. Do you think I made that? I don't care. I think it would be pedestrian if you did, right? But do you really think I made that up?
I think you've heard it somewhere. I think you've heard it somewhere. But it's clearly a nonsense, desperate apologetic.
I've probably read it half a dozen times.
Yeah, because it's a ridiculous apologetic, and quite often the idea is any answer is better than no answer.
The genealogies are patently, demonstrably different, right? Obviously, right? It's not some,
I'm going to
hidden
save my
secret thing.
audience the pain of me taking you back there again, even though I'm slightly tempted to. It's the same way that it's this idea that if there's an apologetic, hold on to it like a piece of wood after
Yeah.
your ship's sunk, right? It's the same reason that people try to
Look,
explain
honestly,
Matthew 16:28
no, no.
and his promise to
Can
make
I?
all of these things
No.
happen while
Can
his
I?
people are still alive in
Can
terms of
can I
the
pull you
glow
back?
up on a mountain.
Let me. Here we fucking go talking over people, right? Let me take you back there, right? Because you said to me, right, say to me that the genealogies are inconsistent. And I said, yeah. And at the end of the day, I don't care. It doesn't change the fundamental core message of the Bible one way or another, right? You could take both genealogies out, right? And it wouldn't change
I
the
didn't
fundamental
I
core
didn't
message of the
I didn't
Bible
make the
at
claim that
all,
it changes the core message. I
right?
made the claim that it shows that the Bible is an unreliable text. That's different. I didn't at
Yeah,
any
I
point
don't
have
agree
I
with
never
you.
I've never
I
once
don't.
in my
I just
life said that
no.
it changes the core
I
message.
don't
The
agree
message
with
is
you.
the
I don't
message is
agree
the
with you.
message, and it's a disgusting message, by the way. But that's a separate topic. It's a horrible
Yeah, I don't.
message.
Yeah, I don't agree with you.
Well,
I
you
don't
can
agree with you. God, God
you can
creates a
not agree
bunch of
with me, but the
people.
book is full of errors and
God creates a bunch of
inconsistencies.
people. God creates a bunch of people, and we consistently turn our back on Him, right? And your expectation is that He ought to come chasing us, every single one of us personally.
Not come chase. Actually, yeah. If he wants a relationship with us, he
Yep.
should let us know he exists. Just like if I want a relationship with my long lost son who thought I died in an assault mine in 1995, it's incumbent upon me to like, hey, I exist.
Yep.
That's it. I'm not asking him to like do jumping jacks and twist himself in knots. He's omnipotent. He
Yep.
could literally
Yep.
go "Doot-doot-doot," and then miracle the knowledge into my head and John's
Yep.
head and everyone's head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if that were true, right, there would be no challenge for anyone. So if God had been consistently doing that, since the expulsion from Eden or after the flood, whenever you want to, hit that start button, right, then we would be living in a completely different world to the one we're living in now. All right, and you know. That's not the world we live in, right? And the Bible narrative clearly demonstrates that it's us that's turned our back on Him. You can accept it if you want, or not accept it, right? You get the capacity to do that in this lifetime. But to look at the biblical narrative, right? I mean, I understand if God's completely different, and you go, God made us promises, 3 generations ago that He would look after us for the next 48 generations, right? And He's not doing it, right? But the biblical narrative doesn't claim that. The biblical narrative is a story of God providing opportunity for building relationships and us consistently turning our back on Him, right? And for reasons that are not unsurprising. There's no magic involved in that.
If
All right,
he's
God,
invisible to most of the world, he's
yeah,
not. Then we factually do not have the opportunity to follow him.
yep, bang. And you will at the second resurrection, right? When all those people who never had that opportunity in this
Why?
lifetime to
Why
go.
have Why have two resurrections? Like, what's the
Um,
difference? Like, if I'm just like
yeah,
out like a light, it'll be like just as fast as the first resurrection. What's the point in just keeping me in the ground for a little longer?
because there's a difference in the reward for people with those resurrections. The first resurrection is for the household of faith, right? So people like Abraham, he had to walk through the land of Canaan and believe God, things that defied his senses. That there was such a thing as a resurrection of the dead.
Wait,
And
you're gonna get a
you
bigger
go,
reward than me? That's not fair.
well,
Like, I want
hey,
him to show me he exists because I want the
yep,
pineapple on my pizza instead of
perfect,
like plain cheese
perfect.
pizza.
No,
Yeah.
great. That's a perfect question. And let me just point out, right, that as much as you might think that there's persecution for people who are, look, let me just label your position as the middle ground, right? And I don't believe that's offensive because I think a position of reason is the place that you always ought to strive for, right? But your place in the middle ground, you go on about, how people with such a persecution and, I had to leave my church and all this kind of stuff, right? You can't imagine what it's like, right, to grow up in my universe, Sean, right? And have to understand that the Bible doesn't say the things that it says it does, and so therefore to have no friend in the Christian community, and my only my only comfort is with guys like you, right? And the best that you and I will ever probably do is have arguments with each other where we can walk away from, and at the end of the day go, do you know what, like, I still think that guy is worthy of love and empathy and all that kind of stuff, right? You want to walk through this life without a friend in the world, right? Try
Yeah,
being a Christian. Try being a Christian who respects the Bible for what it is.
David, I just want to close with just a favor I can ask of you. So
Yeah.
during the first resurrection, can you grab some of that the divine pizza that's got pineapple on it? Put it in
No,
my grave so when I wake up, I get some on the second resurrection.
do you know? I keep telling people that guys like you, right? I keep telling guys like you. I say, don't panic about it, right? Because God knows your heart.
Okay.
As much as I might think I know
David,
your heart, and that you guys are good guys,
we're gonna
God knows you. No,
stop this
no,
here.
I'll give you. No, no, I'll go in like
We've
10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
we actually love talking to you, but
Oh,
it's been a while. We got people in the queue,
oh,
and I hope you
all
call
right.
back because I actually do enjoy the conversations with you.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Hey, keep at it. All
Thanks,
right.
David.
Keep at it.
All right.
All
Take care.
right.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye bye.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. I yeah, I mean, I think David is, we always have long conversations with David, and I think he tripped himself up a bit today because he came in with guns blazing, and it
Yeah,
didn't go well about the Levitical animal classifications, and then we shifted to biblical reliability, and it really didn't go well there. And I understand he has his own view on eschatology. He has his own view on what happens to you afterwards, and maybe it's a slightly less horrible view than some people have, but it's not a
yeah,
mainstream view. And as is always the case when people have idiosyncratic views, they insist that they are biblical. They insist that they are the right one. Everyone else has it wrong. Okay. Well, to me, it's all nonsense. And the moment you say the entire universe is 6,000 years old, you've lost credibility in the conversation. Because
yeah.
while he was going on about, first and second resurrections, I was looking at archaeology sites on at the Metropolitan and looking at 7 or 8,000 year old ceramics. So it's all a bit silly.
Yeah.
I think it's deeply,
By the
deeply
way,
silly.
over 2,000 tokens of appreciation. That's like far and away the most I've ever received, and
Well
I take
deserved.
them as appreciation. And I apologize for whoever was donating so much that I didn't like notice at the time. We kind of get caught up in conversations, but I just want to let you guys know if I don't thank you on the spot, sometimes I don't see it, and I really appreciate it. Thanks,
Thanks, Sean.
guys.
And Adam Blade Taylor in the YouTube chat. I know what you mean, my friend. I know what you mean. Okay. We do have Baku still on standby, and we also have Bobby, who's great. But just before we do those, we're going to bring in. I'm not entirely sure how we say this username. How do we say this? You're going to have to tell us your username yourself. What is your username? Because I can't pronounce it.
It's pronounced Bunny.
Hello? You see, you've given yourself a username that I can't call you out on to let you know that you're now live on the show. This is what happens when you have a complicated username which I can't read.
Well, you can just go by Bunny.
Bunny. Okay, well, we'll call you Bunny. Welcome, Bunny. What would you like to say?
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, you hitting on me?
I beg your pardon?
So
He said what?
I just wanted to clarify. You're asking why God is hiding, but you don't understand that you've already found him.
I assure you I haven't.
Well, let's just test that notion. Do you know what is God to you?
I have absolutely no idea. Everyone's got their own idea of gods, haven't they? You can speak to
A
5,000
supernatural
different people
being.
and get 5,000
Yeah.
answers.
I would at minimum call a god a supernatural deity who has superhuman or supernatural abilities.
Are you hitting on me?
Okay. Uh, this is going nowhere.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
well,
this
the
is trolling.
reason why I tell you that you've already found him is because if this supernatural or super powerful entity exists to begin with, well, it wouldn't need you to believe it anyway, would you?
I think you're
That's not the
very,
question.
very confused. And I'm not sure why you keep peppering the discussion with "Are you hitting on me?" Is that intended to achieve a particular effect? Because it's achieving an effect, but it may not be the one that you had in mind.
No, I just appreciate your accent.
Well, you can appreciate it from a distance. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to bring in Bobby. I don't have an accent, by the way.
That one, I wish we had just weird, the word weird on the bingo
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, yeah. Weird
that
on.
would
We need a weird on the bingo card for crazy like that.
Actually, we should have one that because it will pop up again. I promise. Go ahead, Bobby. How you doing?
Yeah, hey, I do like to open with a joke real quick. You know, Jesus isn't hiding. He just got hung up in Jerusalem.
Oh, boom, boom, boom. Very good. Okay, we'll have that.
Wow.
That was even a like a prompt appropriate joke. Like that was clever.
Yeah, I've been saving that one. Anyway,
Just in your pocket, waiting for the right time, huh?
in my pocket, waiting for the right time.
By the way, you guys
yeah.
you guys didn't comment on my Philbro meter earlier. I was quite heartbroken. Do you want to see the Philbro meter?
Oh, I didn't see the Philbro meter.
Who wants to see it? Here's
What,
the
you mean your Philbro background? I saw
this
the
is
Philbro
this is the
background.
Philbro bullshit meter.
Oh,
And it's
see,
just
now I have to see.
yeah.
See,
This is
TikTok
it.
has now got the grid up since I'm in the call.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the Philbro bullshit meter. It just detects Philbro bullshit. Whenever it's needed, we can call it up. I mean, I rely on it all the time. There's medium levels of Philbro bullshit right now. It's just picking that up from me. But yeah, it's a very reliable and important tool. I feel much safer knowing that we have one of these in the stream now. So we're prepared for when it happens.
Ah.
Yeah.
So I guess I was calling in because I'm having like an "Am I crazy?" moment with some of these. Just to give you my background, I was raised Catholic in New York City, so it's very much a progressive brand of Catholicism, with an international batch of students. So some people, knew more about the Bible than the rest. Like in fourth grade, when they covered the story of Abraham, being told by God to kill his son, half the class was up in arms because they'd never heard this before, and they're like, "So God made him? Is this what God wants my parents to do?"
Oh my god.
And so eventually, we had chapel every morning and everything, and we had teachers talking, and we meditated on God and everything. But the impression was that the Bible is not meant to be literal. It is basically human beings struggling to understand the mind of God, and that no, Genesis is a fable. Noah's Ark is a fable. There is wisdom and poetry in the Bible, and Jesus is real. Okay, but I don't hear that. I don't hear that perspective from anyone. It just the amount of people who think the Bible is literal, like your last caller, who seems like a bright guy, but insists that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and makes up magical thinking to explain the speed of light. And it makes me feel like I'm going crazy here. Like everyone I grew up with in Catholic school, I acknowledge that evolution was real. And okay, a lot of us ended up as not Catholics anymore once we grew up. I mean, I was in Catholic school and atheist through all of Catholic high school. But there's different reasons for that than well, one of the things was my history class teaching me about indulgences, for example. Um, that's when the church sold get out of hell free cards in order to help build the Vatican.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where I'm disagreeing. It's like, do you hear this from any other groups or people that you interact with that they are Christians, they maintain their faith, but they're able to just acknowledge that the Bible isn't inerrant. The Bible is generally written by people,
Yeah.
but they still are Christians.
Yeah, you get a whole spectrum, right? So you've got fundamental, like literalist, every word absolutely, rock solid at one end, and then you've got people at the other end who are so liberal in their interpretation, they are almost Christians in name only, and they might say, this is metaphorical and that's symbolic, and some of them will even say that there wasn't necessarily even a crucifixion, and there's still important lessons to learn. And then you have all the shades between those 2 points. So
Yeah.
I'm minded of Forrest Gump when he says life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. When we bring guests in here, it's not like on the line where all the guests are sort of kind of vetted to see where they are and what they're saying and what their thing is. We have absolutely no idea. We bring people in and then we listen to them say what they say and react to them accordingly, and we get all sorts in here, all the way across that spectrum.
Yeah, we don't even get a warning like on the big shows, the line, the Atheist Experience. Their chat
Oh.
screeners will put a whole byline of just kind of giving them what to expect. I kind of like being surprised though sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it can be good. Yeah. That was the main thing that I was coming away with. Also, I had another chat that I wanted to just bring up. This is going to seem like maybe out of left field, but I think it's related. The cat distribution system. That's basically this kind of philosophical idea that the universe at some point decides you need a cat, and a cat shows up in your life, and presumably makes your life better.
Cats
And I
always
think
make your life better.
Okay, there you go. And that'll bring me up to something else, but I think that's a better argument for the existence of God than any apologist rhetoric that I've ever heard. Like, if I was to be trapped in a plane with an evangelical and they asked me, "Are you a cat person or a dog person?" I'm thinking, John, you're a cat person. He said, "Maybe I'm."
I love dogs too.
I'm
I
a
just
dog.
I love dogs
yeah.
also, but I am a cat person.
Yeah, I'm allergic to cats. That's part of the reason I'm a dog person by
That
default.
sucks. And dogs are
Um,
awesome. Dogs
but
are incredible.
yeah,
I'm the reverse. I like both, but I like dogs more.
there you go. Are you allergic to dogs?
Me, myself, or John. I'm not allergic
Oh,
to
I was asking
either.
Sean. Yeah. Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
That's the
but
one. But
talk about unconditional love doesn't exist except in dogs. No matter
Yeah,
what,
I
they are
actually think that's
just
true.
so happy to see
Yeah,
you.
I used to have a dog, and he would give me a hero's welcome when I went to put the rubbish out. Like I'd step outside the house for 1 minute, and I'd come back, and he'd be like overcome with joy. It was
Isn't that
incredible.
a great feeling?
Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you could say that the love of a dog is a window into the divine, but we made them. So that kind of contradicts that whole point. I think that it's what makes me more of it's actually what's made me a humanist is something like that. We artificially selected traits to make gray wolves dogs, and we ended up with this creature that is just made of unconditional love. And we did that by selecting for traits that work with us. And that says to me something about humans, about us, that we are all inherently good. And I think philosophically speaking of what has kept me an atheist, and well, aside from stuff that I learned about my family later on, that the idea that humans are inherently good is just so diametrically opposed to so much of the rhetoric that I got, even
Oh
in
yeah,
my liberal Catholic upbringing.
it's horrible. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah,
This idea that humans are just born bad, just born bad. Humans are evil and humans are broken. And it's a
Yeah.
disgusting doctrine. It's horrible.
yeah. And I think there's so much proof that it's not just simply the fact that we have not nuked the planet yet. That, somewhere, even even with the president that we have no one's blown up the planet yet.
Yeah.
We
That's
try to stay out of
incredible.
politics, but
Oh yeah, sorry.
technically we have in World War II, but not the whole planet.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying I was just I've been reading. Annie Jacobson has been showing up on my TikTok. I got her book about nuclear disasters.
Yeah.
So it's just one thing that comes to mind. Also, a proof that maybe the universe is not exactly a perfect creation if you can unlock its secrets and destroy a planet with it.
Yep.
Mm.
Just a quick one. Stream on
It's-
Streams will have you in just a moment. So thank you for your
yeah.
patience. Appreciate that.
I'm going to wrap it up so you can get to stream on streams.
Sure.
That's
All right,
about it.
Bobby. Well, always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and we appreciate you being around and your support. And you always come in with a good joke. Love the one today.
Thank you.
He got hung up in
Yeah,
Jerusalem.
that was good.
Yeah, and someone in the YouTube when you said that, the comment on your joke was nailed it. So there you go.
I love it.
Nice.
So
I'm a sucker for dad jokes.
chat is on point tonight. Yeah. Thanks,
Yes.
Bobby. Really appreciate
right.
you, man.
Thanks.
Take it
John.
easy.
Thanks, John.
Thanks. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Okay, as promised, stream on streams. And Baku, thank you for hanging out as well. We see you, brother. Stream on streams. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very well indeed, thanks. Welcome in. Have we spoken before? Now I'm nervous because I said to someone earlier,
No,
we haven't spoken before, have we? And he said, yes, we have. And I felt like a real tit. So I don't think we have we?
no, we haven't. This is my first time here.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. I just had a few questions. So are you guys atheists?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because I heard I believe I heard you say something about the Bible. How comes why don't you find the Bible credible?
Because it's full of nonsense.
Okay. What nonsense, if I may ask? Like
I mean,
was there
depending
anything
on.
specific that turned
Oh,
you away,
I
you
mean,
know?
I don't find it. Nothing turned me off it. Like it wasn't like a particular reason why I read that and thought, because I've read this now, I don't believe it. Because that isn't how these things work, right? You don't start
Yeah.
off believing something and then look for reasons to not believe it. You start off not believing something, and then
Yeah.
if the reasons come in that convince you to believe it, then you believe it. So in my case, I don't believe that the Bible is credible for the same reason that you probably don't believe Lord of the Rings is credible. And I mean, you could say, well, Lord of the Rings is a fictional story, but I think largely so is the Bible.
I know, but now I understand what you're saying, but I don't agree with the comparison you gave. It's because the Bible was written by 66 different authors and over a 1500-year time span. So
Slightly less than that, but yeah.
now okay, sorry, but yeah, slightly less. Okay, when you take that into account and
Yeah.
you analyze their writings, the miracle of the writings all being so cohesive
But they're not cohesive. They disagree with each other. But
they,
this is what we were talking. Were you
where,
in
where
when we
do
were
they
talking to
disagree?
David?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. So we were speaking to a guest before
Yeah,
who made a similar claim
yeah.
that the Bible is internally consistent and cohesive, and it isn't. It disagrees with itself at almost every turn.
When you say these things, where, like, what specifically, Because
Well, okay.
in
So
the Old Testament and the
I
New
can give you
Testament,
I can give you
go
a
on.
specific example if you like.
Yeah,
So
I'd really like, please.
okay. So in Exodus, it says over here in Exodus 20 It says, "You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and fourth generations of those who reject me." So God's saying here that if someone does something wrong, their children and their children's children and their children's children's children, etc., will be punished. Right? Do you agree that that's what that verse says?
Just give me a moment. I feel like when you read Bible verses, we should read it in context.
We don't need
Because
to
This
necessarily
is
read everything in context. This
the
is making
context. This is
you
one of the
must
10
you must
commandments.
you must read it in context.
well, it depends. I mean,
What
we can read a few verses
you
before and a
can't.
few verses after, but this is making a specific claim, and the claim isn't
Yeah, but
changed
we
by
need to
reading it in
understand. We need
context.
to understand. I know, but we need to
streams?
understand where the claims.
Streams. Here's the context.
uh,
It's one of the 10 commandments.
I know the Bible. This isn't one of the Ten Commandments.
Okay.
So
The,
yeah,
the,
sorry.
Where are the 10 commandments?
They're in Exodus. Moses was given the Ten Commandments, but
They're in
this isn't.
Exodus what?
This
Exodus what?
isn't one of the Ten
Yes,
Commandments, my
it
friend.
is. Yes, it is.
Brother, could you go and you Google and type in the Ten Commandments and read them? This isn't one of the
no,
Ten
this isn't
Commandments. It's
specifically
this is
one of the 10 commandments,
exactly.
but
So
If it's
I
not,
understand.
then I'm wrong, and that's my bad. But I'm going to look at it.
well, this isn't a
Yeah,
commandment.
that's my
This
point.
isn't a commandment, but
Exodus 20.
this might be within the context of the commandment not to worship others, which it could be, as in the first commandment of not having any other gods before him. But regardless of the context,
Yeah,
right?
10 commandments is Exodus 22 through 17.
Yeah, Exodus 20, verse 2 through to 17.
Right. This is Exodus 20.
So Sean's context was absolutely right. Streams, it is during the reading of the Ten Commandments, and my guess is that this probably pertains to the commandment that thou shalt not have other gods before me. And here he's talking about the potential penalties for that, would be my guess. And he's saying, the point is, he's saying that if you do this, he's very jealous and he punishes children for the iniquity of parents. Now, regardless of the context, I want you to agree or disagree that in this verse, God is saying that children, under some circumstances, can be punished for the crimes of their parents. Because there's no reading of the context that's going to change whether that's true or not. Agreed?
Yeah, no, but you need to understand this. The reason God said that is because He brought the Israelites out of Egypt, and He was basically now giving them the rules and regulations.
He's just asking you to
when He
agree
brought
with
them
what this
out
says.
of,
What does this say? That's all he's
I'm
asking.
explaining, brother. I'm
Not
explaining
why.
it because
Not
we
why
have to
did he
read it in
say it?
context.
What is he saying?
Brother, I don't. Can me and you? Can I speak to him? Because I'm not trying to be rude.
No,
You tried to just argue with me about a
Sean
point you had no knowledge on.
is my co-host, and it's understood that
I
he can
understand, but
interject.
I understand, guys, but if I'm answering the question, let me answer it.
Well,
You know,
respectfully, you weren't
direct my answer.
respectfully, you weren't answering the question.
I was answering.
I asked you a very
explaining the
simple
context.
question. It didn't need a context. The question I asked you was, is this verse saying that under some circumstances, children can be punished for the actions of their parents? And that question has a yes or a no.
Guys, I feel like I'll leave because
you don't have to leave.
I'm just gonna. I'll
you
leave.
really don't have to leave. We're just trying to have an honest conversation about the text.
This is not an honest conversation because you're directing my answer. This isn't a discussion. How is it a discussion?
No, we're not directing your answer. Like if yes or no question is yes or no.
Just trying to get to some clarity because you made the claim that the book is consistent, and I'm about to show you that it isn't.
If you're trying to get to some clarity, you should let me answer the question.
I think
the way it should be answered because you basically said that we can't take this. We can take this out of context if you want to. That's not how you read.
Streams.
That's not how you read scriptures.
You just looked up that this was one of the 10 commandments, correct?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
Brother,
it is. But listen, he asked you a yes or no question.
my
all
friend,
we're asking for is answer yes or no,
my
and then
friend,
you can explain your
the
answer after.
gentleman, the host corrected you, and you're
N-
basically
n- n-
repeating the same argument again that you just corrected him.
corrected.
I
Then
didn't
he looked it
correct
up
him.
and correct.
What I was saying was it itself isn't a
Is this one of the Ten
commandment. It
Commandments?
itself
Thank you
isn't
very
a
much. It's
commandment.
not.
But
So
you asked about
why
the
is he
context, and
bringing
the
up the 10?
context is that it's within the 10 Commandments. So Sean was right about that.
But it is not one of the Ten
Correct.
Commandments.
Okay,
He's
that's a
saying it
technicality.
is
I get
one
what you're
of the
saying.
Yeah.
10.
It,
There's
it,
That's
10
fair.
yeah.
commandments, right?
Yeah.
10 of them. This isn't one of them, is it?
It's an
Simple.
elaboration on
Like,
on the consequences of breaking one.
oh, mate. Yeah, guys,
Correct.
it's all right. All right, no worries. I'll leave you to it. Thanks for the chat, fellas. Have a good night.
Well, that's a shame because I was going to show the contradiction, which I'm going to show anyway. So when I asked him, does this verse unambiguously say that under some circumstances children can be punished for the actions of their parents? The answer to that would have clearly been yes. And just a little bit later, we have Ezekiel, who says, the person who sins shall die, a child shall not suffer for the iniquity of a parent, nor a parent suffer for the iniquity of a child. The righteousness of the righteous shall be their own, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be their own. Now, this is a really, really foundational contradiction in the text. That one moment you have God saying, yes, you can sometimes punish children and their children and their children for generations to come for the sins of the father. And then just a few chapters later, you have his prophet Ezekiel declaring the contrary position. And of course, if you look at the main story of the Bible, the cornerstone story of the fall is a story in which somebody does something and every generation afterwards gets punished. That's millions of people, hundreds of thousands or millions of generations, all being screwed over because of what their great times 1,000 grandfather did. And therefore, this book cannot maintain a consistent position on something as foundational as whether it's okay to punish children for the actions of their parents. So it's a shame that our last guest felt the need to leave the conversation. It's really tricky because these conversations can, as we found with David, become like very dissembling kind of rambling and affairs. And so sometimes what we try to do is narrow down the issue. And it's not always necessary to give long answers about a really simple question, because in the case of that verse, there is no context that would have changed whether that was a yes or no answer. So all I was trying to get to is, here it is saying one thing, and here it is a few chapters later saying the opposite thing. And that's called a contradiction, and that defeats his claim that the book is cohesive and internally coherent. And let's remember, he came in saying, why do you not believe this? So I was trying to show him one of the reasons why this book is not persuasive is because it's all over the place on foundational issues. Okay, we're going to bring in Z or Zed. We have had very few YouTube callers tonight, just a couple, not many at all. The door's open. If you want to come in on YouTube, it's tinyurl.com/JC Guest. Pretty easy. And we'd love to hear from you if you fancy it. Otherwise, we have a generous, well-stocked supply of TikTok callers, but we wouldn't want the YouTube side to think that they're not getting love too. We love you very much on that side too. How are you doing, Z? Is it Z or Z?
Z, but you
Z.
can say Z. That's fine too.
I'm a British person and we say Z, but for you, I'm going to say
right.
Z.
I accept both.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. What's your position on this stuff, and what would you like to say?
Well, I've listened to a couple on and off tonight on here. I guess God hiding specific, just to stay on the prompt that we've got.
Sure.
I would say my best answer to why is God hiding is because if he revealed himself, it would be impossible to deny him. So you have to have a choice to choose to have faith in him, I suppose, would be my answer
What
to
do you
that.
mean by deny? Exactly do you mean by deny him?
Well, so like if deny his existence, I suppose. Like if God appeared in front of you right now, it
Yeah.
would be impossible for you to deny
But
that he
wouldn't that be a
exists. You
good
know?
thing? Like if I had a bunch of people and I really, really wanted them to have a relationship with me, I would just go and introduce myself. I wouldn't hide away, insisting that they have to kind of jump through some kind of crazy mental hoops in order to have a relationship with me while I hide behind a curtain somewhere. That seems really weird. If he wants to have a relationship, just come and say hello, and then everyone knows he's there, and then everyone can use their free will to decide whether they want to have a relationship or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Why
And
is
I'll
he
tell you,
so coy?
yeah, as a Christian, I agree with you. I would much prefer that, 100%. I'd certainly make these conversations a lot easier for me.
Well, it would, and it would also resolve a real problem. Which there's a moral tension here, which is that if you look at something like John 3:18, right, it says that he who believes is saved, but he who doesn't believe is condemned already, for he's not believed in Christ as the Son of God, the one true Son of God. So basically setting up a condition whereby if we don't believe in God, we're going to be punished, right? There's going to be consequences. Now, we can argue about exactly what those consequences are, and some people think it's fiery eternal hell, and some people think it's annihilation, and some people think it's just not being invited to the party. But whatever the consequences are, if we can agree that they're not very nice, that there's something people might want to avoid, then it seems to me morally problematic, at a minimum, morally problematic, for God to set up a system where he's imposing punishments on people for not believing the right things and then hiding away, which massively increases the chances of people, perhaps mistakenly, not being convinced he's there. I mean, I don't think that God exists. I've not seen anything to persuade me that God is there, and I've looked. And I've done the searching, and I've done the many years ago the sort of testing and the praying and the are you there and give me a sign and all of that sort of stuff when I was much younger. Not done it for years, but there was a time when I did, and God had every opportunity to go, yes, I am here, my child, here I am, but he didn't do that.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. I mean, this what you're talking about specifically is why it gives me a lot of comfort that quote unquote wrestling with God is a form of worship. So that's what settles my mind about that specific topic. Now somebody else might tell you, oh, God's not obligated to appear to you, which is true. He isn't. But that's not a very productive answer. I don't think so. It's not that he's not obligated to, but I think that the choice based on faith is important to God.
The choice to do what? Because believing he exists isn't a choice. You're either exposed to convincing information or you're not.
Well, faith is belief without evidence. And
I'm not capable of that. Like, it's not that I refuse to do it. I'm just literally not capable of it.
Right.
That's
that's
the
fine.
problem.
I mean,
you say that's fine, but if Sean gets hit by a bus tomorrow, then presumably, what do you think will happen to Sean if he is unfortunate enough to end his life tomorrow? What happens to Sean?
Yeah, it's a good question, because one of the biggest problems for me is well, I'll answer your question first before I start yapping. But whenever if Sean gets hit by a bus, I believe that Jesus will appear to you and ask, do you choose me? Do you believe me now? Even if you hadn't believed your entire life. So that's my. I mean,
but if that's true, then what's the point of verses like John 3:18 that say, those who don't believe are condemned already? If they're condemned already only until the point they die, and then instantly become uncondemned because they're given the evidence by Jesus coming to introduce himself, what was the point of them being condemned?
I mean, my answer to that would be so they understand what they're not choosing now. That's kind of a stupid way to say it, but they understand the choice. Like this is what condemnation is. So and does it in that verse? I'm not trying to be picky, but does it in that verse say condemned only or condemned to death? Like is it condemned
Just
end of
condemned.
sentence or
Condemned.
okay?
Just condemned.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So then yeah. What I said, I think they to kind of show them what would be they get a little experience of it maybe.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the position you're taking, strictly speaking, is biblical. Not sure.
Is it not?
I'm not sure. I mean, this idea of the requirement to believe things, and that have you read Revelation 21:8, which talks about what will happen to the non-believers?
Yeah, I've read all of Revelation, but I don't know. I can't recall 21:8 off the top of my head right now.
So it's a real doozy. I'll just get it so we can have a look at it. I mean, it's pretty cray stuff, if I'm honest. Let's see if this
all of Revelation's pretty
yeah.
nuts.
So this is it. It says, "But as for the cowardly, the faithless," that would be me. Sometimes that's translated unbelievers. The cowardly, the unbelievers, stroke faithless, the polluted, the murderers, the sexually immoral, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all liars. So this is the company that I'm now being lumped in with, right? The worst of us. The murderers, I particularly like the sorcerers. I love that. I've got the image of a man with a little pointy hat and robes doing weird things. But the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all liars and murderers, sexually immoral, their place will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. So do I have a fiery burning lake waiting for me?
Well, based on this verse, that pretty much covers almost everybody.
Right,
So,
right. But
yeah.
but there's a problem there, isn't there? Because then what you're setting up is a situation where this punishment covers almost everybody, but there's a cutout, and the cutout, the way that you get out of that is by believing the right things. But what if you just can't? What if you just find yourself, as Sean said, unable to believe them? It's all very well to say, well, have faith. Faith is belief without evidence. But faith actually, to have that belief without evidence, you still need to be convinced. You need to be convinced by something. It might be that you've been convinced not by evidence. You're being convinced by an emotional need or convinced by some other thing. But you still have to have that belief. What if you just can't have it? You can't magic it out of thin air. If you're not convinced, you're not convinced.
Yeah. I mean, this is when you'll start hearing testimony and a lot of anecdotal things. Would be an answer to that question, because something is evidence to me that can only be evidence to me, right?
Right.
So that's
and you're
that's the
granting
trouble
that
with
That's
that doesn't help someone else, right? So how does it make moral sense to have a situation where everyone is kind of punished apart from the people that believe the right things, and if they don't believe them, then they get punished like by default? That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it does seem. I mean, it's a little bit crazy. I don't push back on a lot of things in the Bible and a lot of God's decisions being crazy. Like I said, there's a lot of choices that I would like God to have made differently. For instance, I'd love to just shake his hand and be like, "Yep, can't wait to meet you, bud." You know what I mean? Like that would be nice. But
If you
he
met
didn't.
him, would you ask him why he supported slavery?
Yeah, I would ask him all kinds of things. Yeah, I would, because I get asked that all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably be like, bro, why didn't you give me an easier way to answer this?
Yeah, he
So
screwed you over good and proper there, definitely.
yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of hard discussions to be had about when your belief in God is challenged. But I like having it challenged because I think it strengthens my belief to have it challenged.
Does it? I mean, what would it take to make you think, nah, I'm not sure about this? What would be is there anything you could identify that would make you think, have second thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, it would have to be, I suppose, like an appearance, undeniable evidence of a different God, maybe.
That's interesting. How about something like, I mean, you've obviously settled on this particular God for a reason, but you know, if it was
Yeah.
shown that Jesus didn't fulfill any prophecies, for example, would that change your view on things?
As in fulfill any prophecies in the Bible,
Yeah, I mean,
or
the Old Testament sets up the expectation of a messianic figure to come, right? The Messiah is going to come,
right?
and then, you know, 800 years later, you get Jesus riding in on a donkey, and he apparently fulfills this expectation that's set up by the prophets and by the prophecies in the Old Testament. He's the guy. But what if he wasn't? What if it, like, when you actually looked at it, those prophecies predicted things that he didn't fulfill, and the things that he did fulfill weren't actually prophecies. They were just lines picked out at random by people who largely weren't even familiar with the Hebrew that the original that the Old Testament was written in, and they were largely working off later flawed Greek translations. Would that shake your faith at all?
I don't know that it would shake my faith, because I think the intention behind all of this is still the same, and I think God's nature is still the same. But yeah, the translations from the originals and adding human, I don't think that it's possible for the Bible to have survived to today in the same exact wording that it was originally written.
Yeah,
And that means that there's human involvement, and so it is hard to trust every single little word in the Bible, but you would like to trust the core. So that's kind of, when I'm reading the Bible, I'm thinking, how can I shave off the things that maybe aren't going to help me, and get to the core of everything that I'm reading. So that's kind
it's
of where I
interesting.
end up.
Yeah, it sounds to me that your starting point on all of this is the assumption that this story is true. That's like, it sounds to me, I'm not meaning to put words in your mouth. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about this. What I'm feeling from you is that you have, it's like an axiom for you. Believe that this is true, and then interpret the evidence in light of that belief. Would that be fair? Is that a correct thing that I've said?
That's fair. It's
Do you,
definitely a confirmation bias type
I was going
situation
to say, do you
for me.
perceive any vulnerabilities with that approach?
Yeah, I'm fully aware of the confirmation bias. I try my best to shake it while I'm reading things,
Yeah,
but it's never going to be all
That's
the way done.
you know what, I highly respect you for that, because we all have biases, and it's up to us to try to internally try to identify them. I have biases of my own, but even though you're not coming to what I think is the correct conclusion, you're at least approaching it honestly and trying to remove bias when you look at it, and that's hard to do, especially with religion.
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. Cool. Well, that would be the reason. That's why we think God is hiding, and that it's a bit of a problem that he's hiding, because he's the one who invokes the potential for negative consequences from not finding him.
Yeah,
So I think that's a bit of a cosmic dick move, but you know, is what it
yeah.
is, I guess.
I agree. I agree. That's fine, and I think God can handle me being pissed off at him, so that makes me comfortable too.
Good for you.
So
Good for you. You're
you know,
you're a better man than he is. Well, thanks so much for coming to speak to us, Z. It was a pleasure talking to you. You're a lovely guy, so thank you very much.
yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
All
Thank
right,
you.
all the best. Take care. Thanks. Okay, stand by, Baku. We're just going to bring in James. I can't believe it's 4 a.m. already over here. This is
Wow, the time went by.
hardcore business right here. Yeah, unfortunately, and good that the stream's been well behaved since that crazy crash earlier. I don't know what was going on
Yeah.
there. One minute you were in the middle of completely flame grilling someone, which was quite entertaining, and the next minute we were all separate. Welcome in, James.
Hello, good sir. How are you?
Fabulous, thank you. You're very welcome to
Good
be
morning.
here. Have we spoken before? Forgive me for not remembering.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, you're
I don't
clearly a
think so.
night owl like me then.
Yes. Well, I was up I had a funeral to go to yesterday, so it's been a bit difficult. So I've been up, and that I am a man of faith. I always get the question: if God was good, why would there be slavery? If God was good, why would these happen? Why would this happen? Why would that happen? And my answer is, I don't know. I don't know these things, I mean, the Bible has different things it says, and you do have to excuse me. My IQ isn't as high as yours, so some of these big words that you use, I might not understand. So if I ask again, I do apologise.
Not at
No,
all.
you're good.
Don't be silly. And an IQ is not a thing we worry about. And if I'm using words that are making what I say impenetrable, then that's my fault. So that's on me, and I should speak more clearly. So
Yeah,
yeah, you're good.
I mean, so I'm an evangelist. You know what that is? I'm guessing. Is
We
it
do.
John?
Yeah.
John.
John
Okay,
and
John.
Sean is with us too.
Sean, hello, good sir. How are you?
Good, James. How you doing?
Very, very good. So the way I say this, right, is how can you convince someone of God's existence with a book they don't believe in? um, because obviously an atheist is someone who doesn't believe in God and
Right.
believes that the book of like the Bible, which is basically loads of books put together, um, is a load of fairy tale stories, and how on earth is this real, and how is this actually in existence, and everything like that. I consider the Bible good for those who maybe aren't Christians. I find it helps me stay away from situations that I should not be in, such as things that you shouldn't be doing, that are bad for your health, for instance. Um, I mean, my testimony is I was an angry, horrible human being who hated the world, hated everyone, and just was a very violent, horrible man. And I found
Okay.
I don't know if it's I found God. I felt God found me. And the question is like, if all of this is a load of rubbish, I'm just going to die, and it's just going to be a black void for eternity. But the question is if it is real, where would you go? And I understand that, you were talking about Revelation about those that will go to hell, and hell isn't fire; it's separation from God for eternity. That's the definition of hell. And obviously, Jesus uses an actual place to describe hell in the New Testament.
Well, he's referring
Um,
to
and
Gehenna, which
obviously,
is a kind of rubbish dump, isn't he? Yeah.
basically,
But
yes.
he
So
also says in the book of Luke that God will throw people to cast people into hell. He'll cast them into hell. And in
yeah,
Matthew, it's into, I think it's into the fire, something like that. The furnace with wailing and gnashing of teeth is a phrase that
very
comes up a
much.
couple of times in Matthew. So
So the way
he's
the
not
message,
talking just about separation. He's talking about conscious torment, isn't he?
yes, that is right. I mean, the wailing and gnashing of teeth is an example of people who were told about the Bible, told about the truth, and they refuse to listen. And when the day of judgment comes, and they are told that they did not live rightly towards how God decided that humans should live, that they were to be, thrown into darkness for eternity. Um, Now I understand why someone would be like, well, I don't want to follow a God who's done that. And the God of the Old Testament is like slavery and murder and everything. But then if you look at the God in the New Testament, it actually, you know what? I understand that you're human beings, and it says that we've all fallen short of the glory of God. But through God's grace and God's
This is sounding a
mercy, He
little
sent
bit
His
like
only Son.
a little bit like a sermon, which we don't really do here. So we've touched on a lot
I'm
of.
really sorry. I'm
No, that's
sorry.
okay.
No,
No,
you're good, James.
I'm just gently correcting you here. So you've touched on a lot of different things, and almost
Yeah,
too many for us to address.
I
So
I do apologise,
no,
Sean.
that's fine.
Sorry.
No, you're all good. You're all good. It's no problem. I'm just gently guiding us back to the light. So, in terms of what you said about your own life being transformed, that could well be true. it could be true that your life has been transformed, but it's also, I'm really pleased to hear it, by the way. But in terms of the conversation, it's completely irrelevant because there are also lives that have been transformed by joining the Nation of Islam or Scientology or, becoming a Freemason or joining, funny, weird, obscure cults or that, right? Anything like that has the potential to transform lives. And you can look around the world and see people whose lives have been transformed by doing things like that. And that's really a sort of utility argument. It's sort of saying it was good for you to become, religiously affiliated. Your life got better when you did that. That's wonderful, but it has absolutely nothing to do with whether these claims are true or not.
Right.
And then in terms of where we went after that, I mean, we were talking about a lot of different things, weren't we? The problem is that the doctrine sets up a system where something horrible happened. Something horrible is said to have happened, which is that God had a requirement to forgive mankind for their sinful nature. And their sinful nature was, by the way, imposed by God, because apparently we're in a fallen world now. God didn't have to make us in a fallen world. He could have done something different. He chose for us to have a fallen world. So we're all infected with this sinful nature, which is something God presided over. And then he creates the cure for this. And the cure is that he can forgive us for being in this fallen world, but it comes at a price. It's not forgiveness like when my child does something wrong and then I forgive him because I love him. I don't require anything else to happen. God's price is someone has to be killed, and it doesn't matter who. So he can do the forgiveness, but someone's got to die. Need that blood. Someone's got to be killed. And so an apparently innocent person who is also God, sort of, gets killed. And now we're supposed to be very, very grateful for this, rather than the normal response to a hideous situation like this, which would be to run away in horror at such a complete depraved system. We're supposed to consider it good news. This is supposed to be a wonderful thing that we should be really happy about, that God had someone killed for us. I mean, if I was convicted of a crime and I was about to be sentenced, and the judge said, hang on a minute, before we sentence you, we have the option of this innocent person we've pulled in off the street who we could have killed instead of you having your sentence, I'd be fucking horrified. Absolutely horrified. It would be the worst thing I'd ever heard, and I wouldn't agree to it for 1 second. But no, this is wonderful, apparently, and we are supposed to be grateful for this. And then to top it all off, we're still deserving of the punishment. Even though that guy got killed, we still get to take the punishment. So actually we weren't properly forgiven, unless we find ourselves convinced of extremely implausible claims in a 2,000-year-old book, which many people just can't find themselves convinced of. Can you see why I might be a bit incredulous about all of this?
Sorry, can you explain the word incredulous to me?
Yeah, why
do
I might
apologise.
find all of this a bit hard to believe and think
Oh,
it's a
right.
bit it's a bit sort of odd and silly.
Yeah, I completely get you. I really do. I mean, we believe, and the Bible says that Jesus Christ was God, which is why he was able to die for us, because he was sinless.
But why did he need to? Why did someone need to die? What is that craziness? Where does that come from?
I mean, we've all done wrong in the sight of God.
But why can't God just forgive people? I love you, I forgive you. Imagine if when my son did something wrong, I said, I'll forgive you, son, but I just need to go and kill someone first. Hang on a minute, I'll be back in a minute. Went off and killed someone and then came back and said, right, you're good. You're not grounded anymore. You can go out now. Would you think I was a good parent?
Absolutely not.
I'd be mad, right? We would look at that morally with horror. And that's how I look at this horrific story.
I completely get you, John. I mean, like I said, if this is all a load of rubbish, I'm just going to be asleep for the rest of eternity, or however you want to call it. But if it is real, I mean, there is the chance of You know, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, really. It's 50-50, isn't it? Like, it's if
It's
it's real
not.
or it's not
No,
real.
it's not 50-50. And also what you're describing, have you heard the term Pascal's wager before?
I have not, no.
Okay, so Pascal's wager is just the name used for the argument you just made, which is like, if I'm wrong, well, I stand to lose nothing apart from wasting your entire life believing bullshit. But let's set that aside. You cost you nothing. But if I'm if I'm right about all of this, if I don't believe the right things, I could be in trouble. And if I believe the right things and do the right actions, then I could sort of get into heaven, and that would be really cool. The problem with that argument is, well, there are a number of problems, but two in particular. One is that it assumes that belief is a choice, that you can just decide to believe something kind of for strategic reasons. You can kind of say, it would be really good if I believe this thing, so I'm going to just believe it. That isn't how belief works. You can only believe something if you're genuinely convinced of it. Like, if I said to you now, I'll pay you £1 billion if you genuinely believe that you are a chicken, could you do it?
Well, I'm not a chicken, so
Right,
no.
so you couldn't do it. And the reason you couldn't do it is because the evidence of you not being a chicken would be the thing that stops your mind being able to reach that point of persuasion. But this principle applies even when things aren't that clear cut and that evident, right? If your mind can't cross that line into persuasion, you can't believe. So this idea of sort of gaming the system by choosing to believe things, choosing to be convinced by things because it might be useful in the future, doesn't work. And then the other reason why that argument fails is because you're assuming that there's only one God to believe in. What if you're putting yourself in enormous danger by believing in Jesus because you might be offending the God of Islam, who's going to send you to hell for not accepting Muhammad as the final prophet of God, just this Jewish carpenter guy? Or what if the real God isn't either of these gods? It's some other God that you maybe haven't heard of, who's very into sending believers in these silly earthly religions to his own version of hell for being gullible? Or what if the real God sends anyone who believes in any religion to hell and only spares people who use their mind to critically reject all religions, and those are the people who get saved? And you could tell 1,000 different stories like this, and you would have to try to make sure that you're not getting on the wrong side of any of these gods, and you couldn't move, and there'd be nothing you can do. So this whole line of arguing that you're saying, where if I'm wrong, I'm just going to sleep forever, and if I'm right, then I better do right, completely misses the potential for you to be wrong in thousands of different ways. And so I think it's all a bit silly. And with that said, if your belief helps you and it helps you live a life that you feel is easier for you or whatever, then that's fine. But you must be aware that this doctrine that you're subscribing to has a very dark underbelly, has a very, very dark side, which is that it tells people that they're moral failures for not being convinced of things. And that is a disgusting teaching that no one should be involved with.
I completely understand you. Can I be honest with you, John?
Please.
You're one of the nicest atheists I've ever spoke to.
Thank you.
No,
Try to be.
you. Yeah. I mean, I've met loads of atheists, and they just shout at you.
I'm not the shouting
Hey,
type.
No,
yeah.
I appreciate that, John.
You talking about especially on TikTok, James?
No, just generally when I speak to people, really.
Oh, just generally like in the street? No,
Yeah,
yeah,
like an atheist, they get very
yeah.
upset.
TikTok can be some of these lives, especially when you get multiple people on a panel, they can be very toxic. And people should know that if you're skipping around from live to live, just be forewarned. You could end up getting dunked on by multiple people, or, it's just, there's a lot of, on both sides, religious sides or atheist sides or whatever. A lot of times there's a lot of showboating, or I'm going to try to own this guy, and it can be toxic. Discussions on religion can be toxic in general.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you engaged with what I was saying. With at least you listened respectfully, and I appreciate that very much. I know what I say can be hard sometimes. People get very angry hearing me speak this way, and and I appreciate that you listened and what you reflected back to me. You know, your kind of verbal body language,
Well,
if you like, was like,
if
I
people
hear
get
what you're
angry,
saying and stuff like that. I appreciate that.
if people get angry at you, John, then their faith isn't that great, in my opinion. If they're angry at you, it means that there's some kind of disbelief that they actually have themselves.
That may be the case. That may be the case. My friend, we're going to move it on, James, but because we've got to
Thank you
start
so
wrapping
much,
up shop
John.
soon. But thanks for coming in to talk to us. I appreciate it.
Amazing speaking to you. Thank you very much, John.
All the
And
best.
thank you very much, Sean.
Keep well.
You too.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, we still have Baku and we have Hapo in the TikTok queue, and we have a YouTube caller that we have to take. So as much as it's crazy late here now, 4:20 a.m., I can't let these people wait around
Hey, it's Friday night. It's Friday night. I got all the time.
heard. I just have to read some super chats because they've been queuing up for a bit, so need to deal with this. So some of these go back a little way, and I feel awful if anyone who posted these has now left the stream and is not here to get the name check. But I really appreciate these very much. So we have Watch One said God appears to have the same limitations as men. I would completely agree with that. God is often very anthropomorphic, and when you ask the difficult questions about God, you often hear answers which suggest a very human God. Oh, he must do that. He has to do that. If he doesn't do that, he won't be able to do this. And suddenly God shrinks when you ask a difficult question. He's very big when there aren't difficult questions around. When the difficult questions start, he shrinks. It's remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And then we have a serial dude 890. I recently discovered this channel. Good luck. And $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that a lot. And then we have again great friend Philo. Thanks for the $5, my friend. Really appreciate it. Christianity is the world's first protection racket. That was in a conversation a couple back, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a shakedown. It's literally a shakedown. It's like so many of the things are in common with the proper like mafia protection racket things of like the threats aren't necessarily made directly. This thing of like, well, God's not going to send you to hell. No, you're going to send yourself there by not doing exactly what he says, which is absolute mafia language. That's so completely true. In fact, these are all now from Philo. Philo's becoming an absolute hero. Dude, you're completely killing it tonight. Thank you very much. Another $2. Thank you. Christian maths, 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. Yeah, that is the logic of the Trinity, isn't it? Separate, totally different, and all the same, and all part of one thing, but no partialism either. It's complete nonsense. The Trinity is one of the most idiotic concepts ever devised. And it's one of those things where it's so incoherent that its incoherence masquerades as profundity. It's like, this is such complete utter bullshit that there must be something to it, because no one would say something like this unless there was, just must be something I'm missing. But no, there isn't. It's just complete nonsense. And then finally from Philo again, thank you, my friend. I really appreciate this. To paraphrase Gore Vidal, Christianity's biggest problem is that it's silly. I absolutely love that quote. It's so good. It has many problems, but that arguably is one of its biggest. I completely agree. Thank you for the support, everyone who's done that. I really appreciate that. Okay. Let's move over to the YouTube side, and we're going to bring in. It looks like you haven't completely put your name in here. It looks like no, I don't know what your name is, but I'm bringing you in anyway, and we'll see if we can hear you. Are you there? Your ID is like EMSMQSWPE from the YouTube side. Are you in with us? Apparently not. Okay. Well, that was weird. Not happening. Okay. Well, we tried. If you want to come up again, try and join again, but that completely didn't work. In that case, we're going to go back to the TikTok side, and we're going to bring in Hapo right now. and see how that is. And we also have Colombo in the TikTok queue, and we've got
Hello,
Jason,
John.
and we've
Hello. A
got
very
Bucky.
good morning.
Hello.
Hello. A very good morning, my fellow members in the platform.
We're happy to meet you. What's up?
Thank you, my dear. Thank you very much. I was just, before I start saying anything, the gentleman that was there earlier before, who was saying that your platform is very, very humble-like kind of a platform. I really, really agree with him. Most of atheist or rather religious conversation platform usually turns into a ramble. But let me say this, they usually turn into a ramble because our fellow brothers and sisters who have a religious belief in them, they find they bring in the intoxication when they're being told that I don't believe in what you were saying, then they get intoxicated. But anyway, that is gone. John, one thing that I do not understand, and please tell me that I'm not insane. Could be I'm insane or I'm not
Could be.
insane, whichever. I don't understand. How could snake talk?
Oh,
I
snakes.
don't understand. How would
Snakes
one
can't
live
talk.
in the...
Yeah.
Well,
Snakes
they
can't.
do in the Bible.
Snakes can't talk unless you believe in magic, in which case they can do anything, and so can
There you
donkeys,
are
by the
then.
way.
How
Yeah.
how could donkeys talk? How
Yeah.
could people live in a well in a tummy of a well
Yeah.
for years? I mean,
Yeah.
how could someone be put into a cage with a hungry lion?
It's God
You
magic.
see,
God
these
magic.
things, there you are. I
Yeah.
call these as fairy tales.
Yeah.
They're not real stories.
They're not real
You see,
stories.
morality, John. Morality is doing what is right, regardless of what you are being told. But religion is doing what you are being told, regardless whether
Regardless
it's
of what's
right.
right. I love that, my friend.
Yes.
Permission to borrow that
That's
and
why.
liberally reuse it on many occasions. That's lovely. I think I might have heard that once before, and it had fallen out of my mind. So thank you for reacquainting me with it. I
Right.
think that's beautiful. Morality is doing
Well,
what's
well,
right regardless of what you're told, and religion is doing what you're told regardless of what's right. I think that's fantastic. Do you know who said that? Was that who? Can you attribute that to someone?
it was William Mack. It was William Mack, and he took it from Adam Smith. I think you know Adam Smith, the gentleman on our £20 note. By the
Right.
way, I failed to introduce myself. Please forgive me. I'm a doctor of political science and human psychology.
Right.
I don't really believe in this thing that is called God. One day I was sitting with one person and I said, "Excuse me, you go to church 7 days in a week or 3 days in a week or whichever." I said, "You fast. You give whatever for the sake of, you give to the church for the sake of God, blah, 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 and all these kind of things." He said, "Yes, I do all that." I said, "May I ask you a question? Where's all this from your so-called God the Almighty?" He said, "Why are you asking me this?" I said, "Oh, yeah, because I can see during our conversation here in the hospital, you said to me that your wife is in stage 3 of cancer." And I said, "My wife, who does not believe in God, I believe right now she's having a booze somewhere. So why can't your God give that cancer to my wife, who doesn't believe in God, and give it to your wife, whereby you and your God believes in God?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Excuse me, doctor, I'm not here for that." And I said, "You see,
Yeah.
this is what you're called religion."
It's tricky.
Do
Yeah.
you believe, John? I want to ask you a very simple question that comes directly from the Bible.
Sure.
Do you believe, how would you find if a woman gets married today and you go in to sleep with your woman for the first time and you find out that that woman is not a virgin, and we take that woman, put her outside, and stone her to death?
Yeah, you're
Do you think that's
referencing
moral?
Deuteronomy 22:13, aren't you? which is the virginity test.
There you are then.
It's obscene.
There you are then.
And it's even more obscene
This,
considering the test for virginity would have resulted in false negatives on many occasions.
and when we ask this kind of questions, there are many questions that we need to ask in the Bible, both in the Bible and the Quran. When we ask these questions, the answer is that the Bible, the Old Testament, is not there to be followed because Jesus came and changed. But when you go back to the Bible, it says that Jesus, Lord, he did not come to change anything.
Matthew 5:17.
Anything. It only come. There you are then.
Yeah.
So I say to this guy one day, and I showed him the picture of the hungry children in Sudan, in southern Sudan. I said, excuse me, you are asking me to go back to the Lord because Jesus loves me. And he said, yes, doctor, you must go back to the Lord. He loves you so much. I said, take a look at this little video. This is southern Sudan. Take a look at this. This is Khartoum. Take a look
Yeah.
at this. I said, this is Chad.
Yeah,
What do you think
I
about
have a
these
friend who worked for
innocent
Medicine
poor children?
Sans Frontier in South Sudan, and there's hectic, really hectic.
And I said, is there the love of God here? He said, no, but you have to understand that God is not evil. I said, what? You're telling me that God is not evil? Have you read the book of Isaiah? Have you read the book of Isaiah? I am the God of evil and the God of good.
Right.
So
Yeah.
these people, they fail to understand. It's not that they fail to understand. They understand. They just don't want to accept.
Yeah,
They
and
just don't want to accept. And the intoxication only comes when you tell them that what is wrong and what is right. They tend to intoxicate you. They take your statement as intoxicating.
yeah,
I'm sorry, John.
no, that's
There is
okay.
no
And
way
I
out.
think a lot of people affiliate with a faith without necessarily becoming familiar with its contents. So many people will call themselves, they'll call themselves Christians, but they don't actually know what's in the book, or they'll call themselves Muslims and they won't actually necessarily know, what are in the hadiths or what is in the Quran. And I've never been a religious person, but if I was a religious person, I would want to read those texts inside out. I would, if you really think the creator of the universe oversaw this text and it's a reflection of the mind of the creator of the universe, and this is it, this is where it's at, surely make it your business to know this stuff. I'm always astonished at people who have only a passing acquaintance with the text. I find that remarkable.
No, one thing that I find it a little bit funny, I mean, it could be a my bit insane. I don't know. You tell me. I mean, people find out where the world came from. They found out who created the world thousands of years ago. This is what they're telling us, that they knew where the world came from. They knew where the world is going. They knew that the wage of death is sin. They knew all this. But one thing they have failed to tell me is that if the wage of death is sin, then why is the Satan still there? So the Muslims are telling me that I have to travel all the way from New York, over 30,000 miles, to Saudi Arabia to go and stone the shaitan during Hajj and pilgrimage. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
The same devil who is in Saudi Arabia, he's in Brazil, he's in Japan, he's in whatever. And take a look at this, John. I tell you one final thing. Countries that don't believe in this stuff, countries that don't believe in religion and all this kind of nonsense, excuse my French, please, are the country that
nonsense
are
is
highly
allowed.
developing.
Nonsense is allowed.
Are countries that are highly developed. I talked to my fellow African men and I said, hang on, could you just put a break a little bit in your belief and just listen to what I'm saying? Travel to a country like Congo. If you go to Kinshasa, there are more churches in Kinshasa than there are in Rome, the entire Italy. Just the city of Kinshasa I have been to Kinshasa.
Hmm.
There are more churches there than the amount of churches that you will find in Rome. Now you tell me, that God cannot see that there are more people worshiping him there and he's causing to them more chaos and trouble than the people in Rome?
Yeah.
So if you take a look at the African planet, there are more believers of Islam in Africa, more believers of Christianity in Africa. And Africa is the most poorest, if not the dumbiest planet on this platform. I'm an African myself.
Yeah.
So where is God in this circle?
I mean, you could say
Where
that
is the so-called
people,
God?
people in countries where there's a lot of social deprivation, they're lacking access to education in many instances, and religious systems offer easy answers to tricky questions, and you can see the appeal. And maybe they offer, they claim to offer hope. I don't really think they do, but they claim to. Maybe it's that. I don't know. It's tricky. We have a regular guest here who really rails about this. He's very unhappy about all these kids in Africa being given, Christian names or Islamic names rather than names more in keeping with their own cultural traditions. And
Well,
I understand what he means.
so I was in Cameroon just last year. Cameroon was colonized by the French. And I was invited in a talk in Cameroon. I attended this talk, and people were talking about God and all that, and some atheists were. And one of them rose the question and he says, Doctor, could you please just tell us, why are you an atheist? I said, who told you that I was an atheist? Who told you that I'm an atheist? I'm not an atheist. I have questions that I need to ask regarding your belief, so as I may turn to where you are.
Yeah.
And he said, come on, go on. I said, hold on. Are you a Cameroonian, I believe? He said, yes, I am. I said, look, when did Cameroon get independence? Don't give me the dates. You do know Cameroon was colonized by the French. He said, yes, it was. I said, now, your so-called God sent someone to rescue the children of Israel from the hands of Pharaoh. He knew, and he sent someone to go and rescue them. For thousands of years, Moses struggled, crossing the canal, crossing the Red Sea, whatever you may call it. God struggled all that, and he managed to rescue them from the hands of the Pharaoh. But the very God that you're telling me about has failed to rescue you from the colonization of the French that had been sitting here just in the last couple of centuries.
Yeah.
Which God are you trying to tell me now?
You're trying to use reason, dude. There's a reason-free zone. Happer, we're going to move on because I'm going to try to wrap this up, but we've got one more guest to bring in. But a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate your insight, and lovely to speak.
Thank you. Blessed you must be.
All the best.
Very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Blessed you must be. There we go. Haven't heard that. Interesting chap. Obviously been around and seen a few things. Interesting. Okay, we're going to bring in Colombo, and then perhaps after that we might end with Baku, because he has been loyally waiting in the queue with questions in his pocket. Hi, Colombo. How are you?
And you?
Yeah.
Good. I'm good. You?
We're good. Thank you. We're good. You're our nearly last caller. So what would you like to say?
No problem. I just sorry I disturb you.
You're not disturbing us.
Not at all.
This is what we're about. We are here waiting to speak to people. So you're not disturbing us at all.
Yeah, we are here. But Colombo like this spoke. Colombo, you know Colombo. Colombo in the movie.
Yeah, the detective guy.
The detective, yes. Look, no, lieutenant.
Oh, lieutenant, yeah.
Lieutenant Colombo. I'm lost on that one, but fair enough.
Lieutenant Colombo, yeah.
Okay.
Like that. Sorry, sir, I disturb you. I have one question. Like this spoke. In my country, in Romania, we have many atheists. Our country is Orthodox, Christian Orthodox. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Atheists don't speak each other. Atheists speak with us, with Christian, with Catholic, with Protestant, etc. I see you speak each other. Why? You encourage each other? Because I think in your deep soul, you're afraid of God.
Afraid?
Wow.
Why you speak each other?
I think
You
I
and
think John's a swell guy. I enjoy his conversations.
sorry,
I
I
think
speak
John
with
is a swell. I think John is a swell guy. Why would I avoid speaking to
I speak with
atheists?
John. Sorry, I speak with the host.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and I'm speaking with you.
You are?
Sean is
Who
my
are you?
co-host,
I
so
don't know.
Sean is also a host. So there's two of us here.
He's also a host.
He
Okay,
is. Yeah.
I speak with both. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
In my
honestly
country,
not sure I understood your question. So are you saying? Yeah, because I might have missed this.
I think I got it. I think I got it. So what he's saying is, in his country, atheists, we don't like talk to each other, but here we speak to each other and other atheists because we're afraid and we need each other for like support because we're so scared of his God.
yes. You
Yeah, see,
understand?
serious?
Yeah.
I'm so scared of your God.
He understand. Yeah, what I say.
You're not.
I mean, it's the
you're
most
not serious,
ludicrous
are
thing
you?
I've ever heard, but
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, it sounds serious to me.
No, I wrong. I am wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes?
we don't do this
Yeah.
because we're
Okay,
frightened.
okay,
We
next
do it because
question.
we do it because it's interesting. It's interesting, and
Next question. Sorry, I disturbed you, sir. Next question. I have one more question. Yeah.
okay,
Colombo.
Yes.
okay,
Can I
detective.
touch on detective? Can I talk to you about just sort of the logic in your in what you said? As an atheist, by definition, does not believe your God exists. So hold
in my
on. Let me
country.
finish. Does not believe that God exists. So it would be contradictory for us to be so afraid of your God, which would require us to believe he exists, that we have to talk to other atheists. Do you understand the contradiction there? I don't believe he
No, it's
exists and
not.
I'm afraid of him. It would be like me being afraid of Darth Vader and having to like get a hug from John to help me with my
Really?
fear.
I'm here for you,
Really?
brother. I'm here for you.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Think about it.
Okay, Sean.
Yeah.
Because you say like that. I have one more question.
Sure.
If you don't believe in Satan,
Correct.
if you don't believe, you can say I pee on his tail. You can say, yeah?
I can't say what?
Yeah, he just said if you don't believe in Satan, you can say I pee on his tail. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You can.
I cannot say I pee
I think
on
you're
his
saying
tail.
you can say that. If you don't believe in him, you can say that. Guess what? If you do believe in him, you can say that too.
I pee on his tail. I am Orthodox. I am not afraid of him because God is bigger than him. Yeah.
Okay,
And
I think he was saying I
afraid,
cannot say I pee on his tail.
and I am not afraid to say I pee on his tail.
Columbo, Satan, I pee on his tail. Okay, so I don't have protection from God. And I spit on the ground you walk on.
So you are afraid. Yeah.
Oh, does that mean I'm afraid? Okay, I don't know. It's hard to understand, like language barrier.
I'm not.
That's why I have this nickname, Colombo, because I catch you.
You've certainly got to the heart of the matter here. What can I say? I feel thoroughly exposed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry?
I feel completely exposed. I've never felt so vulnerable in my life.
If we sum this up on a bingo block, what would this would be weird.
Yeah,
That's the
this
one.
should
We
be
got
one
to
of the
get you
weirdest.
guys.
I've got to put a weird in there. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is two version. How
Okay.
say in English? Version. How you say in English?
Versions.
Versions.
Version. Two version.
Yeah.
One, you are not skeptic.
We're not what?
You are not skeptic.
It sounds like you're
Skeptic.
skeptic. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a skeptic.
Sorry. In my language,
That's
skeptic.
okay.
No
Skeptic.
problem.
Yeah. I thought is the same, but not is. Is almost the same. Skeptic. Yeah. Okay. You are not skeptic, but you are a Satanist. Or
we're Satanists.
Or no, I let you talk.
No, it's okay.
Or second version is you are afraid.
Those are the only two options. Either we're Satanists or we're afraid. Dude, I don't know what planet you're on, but this is the weirdest argument I've ever heard. So either the only two options, and there are no other options, are either we're not skeptical and we're actually Satanists, or we're afraid. No other options are possible. Clearly, is that actually your position?
How you demonstrate? How you prove? How you demonstrate? How you prove? How you prove you are not Satanist or not afraid? How you prove?
I can't prove that I'm not.
Everything must prove.
Okay, well, let me answer your question. So you can't really prove that you're not afraid, because even a person who is afraid can act in a way that looks like they're not afraid. So I can't prove that I'm not afraid. What I can tell you is it's a fucking stupid idea. That's what I can tell you.
Okay.
Because what would I be afraid of? The whole thing that we've just spent the last 7 hours talking about is that we don't believe a word of this stuff. So why would we be afraid if we don't believe it? What do we be afraid of?
You are not afraid. Okay, I understand. You are not afraid. But it's not stupid idea.
It is a stupid
remember,
idea.
I am Colombo. Colombo. Remember.
Colombo appears to have got his his long coat stuck in the escalator today, because I can tell you your summations are. No, you let me talk, because this is my live stream. That's how it works. So your summations are a mile off. Are a mile off because
you are Satanist if you not let me talk.
Well, I'm not a Satanist, and I'm going to not let you talk as well. Both of those things are going to happen. So you're saying that we're either frightened or we're Satanists, and I'm saying that's very silly, because we are neither frightened because we don't believe in this stuff, and we're not Satanists for exactly the same reason, because we don't believe in this stuff. So what you haven't considered is the other option, which is maybe we just don't believe in this stuff. That would be what Colombo would do. Colombo would consider the possibility that we actually mean the words we say, and might address the situation on the basis of that assumption rather than the silly ones that you proposed before. But Colombo, I feel like our exchange is drawing to an end, and I'm happy for you to have the final word.
You got to unmute, Colombo.
At some point.
Hit the mute. Hit the microphone button.
Unmute yourself and then grace us with your final Colombo flourish. I'm sure.
You know this universe. You know this universe.
We do.
This universe. Yeah. You know about him.
About
this
what?
About universe.
Yeah.
This universe.
I'm looking at the universe right now.
This universe tends to infinity. Okay. You are omniscient? No, you are not.
Correct.
The human being are not. All mankind are not. How you mega arrogance, big arrogance, to pretend that you know absolute, you know that God not exist.
I don't
How?
I don't know that God doesn't exist. I've never made that claim.
You are atheist. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know that.
just
I don't
means
know that God doesn't exist. We're just not convinced he does.
Sorry.
I don't know that God doesn't exist. I'm just not convinced he does. And the time to believe he does is when there's some evidence for it. I just haven't seen any yet.
You don't see. You didn't see. You don't see. Yeah. But other guys see.
That's wonderful
Also.
for them. Yeah, that's why they believe and I don't, because they've seen something that persuaded them and I haven't. One day, if I see something that's persuasive, my view will change.
I don't see my God, but I see another God. Yeah, Satan. I see him. I don't
about
see
Satan
with my
a lot
eyes
tonight. Is there something you want to tell us?
I don't see, because I was a sinner. I was a sinner. That's why I don't see. Yeah, that's why I don't see. I don't saw my God.
Colombo, I think we're going to draw a line here because we're now approaching the 5 a.m. mark, and I think where I am right now, it's very, very late, and I have slightly less patience for this than I might have at another time. But thank you very much for coming to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Goodbye, Satanist. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. That is quite remarkable. I'm reminded of Poe's law. Poe's law comes to mind. If you don't know what Poe's law is, look it up. Okay, before we sign off with Baku, we're going to bring Baku in. Baku, we're going to bring you in right now, in fact, because I want you to just come in. I'm not sure if we're going to get into lots of questions, but I just wanted to bring you in to have the last word, as it were. I have to read some super chats because Philo and Tracy are just completely killing it tonight on the YouTube side, and I really, really appreciate it. So let's have a look. What have we got? Philo says, "Why am I not a Christian? Because the first requirement for being in the Cool Kids Club is that I suspend disbelief." Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Philo. And then Tracy said, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely," and that is very true. A lot of occasions. Thanks very much for that, Tracy, and for the donation, and for your amazing participation in the chat tonight, Tracy. You're amazing. Thank you. And then Philo is definitely like the superstar of the match here. Thank you very much for this as well. "I've never made but one prayer to God, a very short one. Oh Lord, make my enemies ridiculous, and God granted it." Again, Voltaire. Voltaire had good stuff going down with Voltaire. And then again from Philo. Again, thank you so much for that. "I have had only one prayer to God, make Matt Powell a blithering idiot, and God exceeded all my expectations." Fair. And then finally we have also from Philo, who's absolutely killed it. $20. Thank you. The generosity is off the scale tonight. I really, really appreciate this. And this is actually really profound. Note to end on. I have heard this statistic before. Diarrhea causes the death of over 1,200 children under age 5 every day, equating to roughly 444,000 to 500,000 child deaths, all because Eve ate a piece of fruit. No, it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. God is good. Perfect sense. Yeah. When you start looking at these things, these sort of the statistics of, children dying of, I mentioned malaria earlier, similar numbers for malaria. I think it might be 300,000 or something like that. And then you have people, thanking God for finding their car keys, or finding them a parking spot outside the shop they wanted to go to or something. I find that pretty obscene. Like, God's busy screwing all the kids over, but I got a parking spot right outside, so I'm good. I think that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Baku, thank you, my friend. We're going to give you the last guest spot before we put a lid on this.
Honoured.
Yeah. So
4 questions that I had written down. How many do you want?
Well, why don't you ask us maybe just 1 or 2, and then put the others in your pocket.
Okay.
So we've got ammo for next time, because we do love rolling you out to give your questions, especially when the queue dies down a bit and we know we've got you to bring in for some extra interaction. We do love that, and we thank you for it.
Thank you. Sorry if you can hear my cat. He thought it was a good time to sit on my lap for this.
It's all good. We're cat friendly zone here. So fire away.
All right. My question is, on what basis do we think God is obligated to reveal himself in a way that satisfies our preferred epistemic standards?
Yeah. Okay. So I can hit this straight off the bat, which is our preferred epistemic standards are the only ones we have that would convince us. So, and he would know what those standards are for each person. Some people might have a very high standard, some people have a very low or requirement for evidence, but each person, God would know exactly what those standards are. And his obligation derives from the fact that he's the one threatening to impose consequences on us for not believing. So it's like, imagine if I said to my son, at the end of the day, when the sun goes down, if you don't know the colour of the marble I'm holding in my hand, I'm going to punch you in the face. And then I just keep the marble in my hand and don't show it to him. I'm not exactly a model parent. It's not a wonderful piece of parenting right there, right? So I've set up the ridiculous situation anyway, where I've decided arbitrarily that if he doesn't know something, he's going to be punished. And then I hold the key, right? The epistemic standard in this case would just be open my fist and show him the colour of the marble, right? I hold the key, but I'm not showing it to him. Then, the moral responsibility for that calamity rests solely with me. And so it is with God. So, everyone's got their own standard. God knows what those standards are. And God's the one saying, you're going to get fried if you don't know I'm there, if you don't believe in me. And if he just made an appearance, there would be no atheists. He could disappear all atheists overnight. We would all become theists. And then people could decide what they want to do after that. Next question, and Sean gets the answer to this one.
Okay. If God made himself obvious enough to remove doubt, would that also remove the moral significance of choosing, turning faith into a default rather than an act of will?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Had to unmute myself there. Belief belief is like an amoral thing. So if he made himself completely known, absolute certainty that he exists, it would have no bearing on anything that is worthy of evaluating from a moral standpoint. So all it would do is give me supreme confidence of his existence so that I can make decisions as it pertains to him. So it's morally neutral no matter the degree of the belief itself is morally neutral, regardless of the degree of certainty that he gives you. There's a big thing in Christianity where somehow like faith is a virtue, believing with it's a test, like believing with just enough or not quite enough evidence is like something to be praised. And the stronger your belief, like if I know that I know that I know that Jesus is Lord and Savior with only a hint or an inkling of actual evidence given to me, that somehow that's morally virtuous, and it's asinine.
Yeah, and in any other context, we would call belief in the absence of evidence reckless stupidity. I mean, what other situation is there where we would celebrate? Imagine if doctors did that. Imagine if there was a hospital run with doctors who just diagnosed people without evidence. You went in with you'd sprained your wrist and they just decided that, oh, terrible case of, I don't know, bowel disease or something. Just terrible idea.
What a great, yeah.
Or a car mechanic. You go in, it's like, yeah, it seems to be running a bit, the engine's running a bit fast at the moment, or it's a bit loud or something, and they're like, oh, they're just going to diagnose a problem with the wheels. It's like it's definitely a problem with the rear window.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, think about it like that's a great analogy. So you go to the doctor and they only give him like parts of your vitals and like just not quite enough information,
Right.
and then and then if he comes to a certain conclusion based on that, and the stronger he believes it, his diagnosis, like the more
He's
virtuous,
celebrated.
you know.
Yeah, he's celebrated.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then doctors get like put up for special like academic awards for having believed things on the
yeah,
least evidence.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's
Wow,
absolutely brilliant.
what a great analogy.
I love that. What a good note to end on. In fact, the one thing we do need to end on is Philo's just completely unstoppable tonight. Has graced us with one final super chat. Thank you again for another $5 and the message to say Christians lose the objective superior morality argument on the issue of slavery alone. End of rational discussion. Agreed.
Yeah,
If you're going to claim that your God is the author of morality, then you better be willing to explain how this is objectively good. And many of them try, and they all fail. It's remarkable. They come back and do it time and time again. So there we are, friends. I think that's a wrap. I have to really profoundly thank you for bearing with me during my crazy tech problems tonight. I don't know what happened. First, we had the stream like lagging and stuttering, and then I completely lost my entire internet connection and I had to restart everything, and it was completely grim. But it seemed to stabilize after that. So I'm going to think that there was something outside, something on the lines or something like that. People working on something or something like that. On the TikTok side, unbelievable combined number of likes. Lacadian is just telling me it's like over 260,000 in total between this stream and the one before we got
wow,
interrupted.
that's amazing.
That is unbelievable numbers. People, thank you so much. And similarly on the YouTube side for all the really kind support. A couple of people have asked about subscriptions on the YouTube. I will be rolling that out this week. Just need to finalize exactly what that's going to look like. But that will be a way for people to help support what we're doing here. And it's hugely, hugely appreciated. So I think that is probably it. I have to thank all the wonderful mods. Incredible mod behavior in both chats tonight. As always, I appreciate it hugely. And
Yeah, thanks everybody. It was you guys came out strong tonight, even with the disruption.
yeah, really appreciate it.
Couldn't
And
thank you guys enough.
and even with Justin streaming as well, like I'm very aware, like when the great white is in the water, the other sharks just get scraps. But it really means a lot to me that you were here, even though Justin's stream is on as well. Because if it were me, I'd be watching Justin's stream too. So,
Yeah, I'd be watching Justin instead of myself for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, and thank you very, very much. There's a couple of precious moments tonight that are going to get clipped on YouTube tomorrow and over the weekend. So we definitely got some golds tonight. So watch out for that. There's some good stuff incoming. If you missed it, there were some real good moments earlier. So thank you very much to everyone. And Sean, thank you to you too, and all the regular friends and everyone. And I will see you all very, very soon. Take care all.